Jerks, how you doing today? What a day. It was nice to have a half day for me. Did have a couple walks and I took a little nap and now I'm ready for the 5:30 show with a big guest. Had some great guests last night. You may have saw Jessica Machado was here. She's going to be live on LTL tonight at 8 p.m. We're going to redirect you there as soon as this is over. Definitely check that out. She's in the courtroom today with Aiden. All sorts of things happening in the last couple of days. I'm looking forward to having tomorrow off. I might actually shave. I don't know if you see it, but I haven't. It's getting a little unruly. I was just eating a whoopie pie cake. I had it all in my beard. I hope there's none left. I hope I clean myself up enough for you. But I think I'm going to get to it. I think I'm going to clean up tomorrow. Tomorrow, day off of work. Day off of covering the Karen Reed trial. I still got some dogs. I'm actually picking up a new dog, which, oh man, it could screw up my court thing. I'm helping another woman who had a hip surgery. Well, you got to do what you got to do. But we got some great guests tonight. Not enough about me. Enough about my naps, my dog walking biz, my beard. I'm feeling good today, though. I just got to say, I just want to again thank everyone who's been kicking in to my legal defense fundraiser. That's a big part of why. Just all of the support from all of you. It's made such a big difference over the last couple of weeks. I'm just so thankful. And we got another great show tonight. I want to thank our moderators. We got some great moderators here in the chat. Sarah and Shakanhara, Stephanie, Jeno, MJ, and no, I never forget them, Scott McGinnis. I want to thank all of our mods in the chat always. All right, let's bring our guest up today. A lot happened in court today. We got Lucky Lawford on the stand. They tried to bring in Turtle Boy. Are you a Turtle Boy follower? It's so funny because the first thing when they said, "Are you a Turtle Boy follower?" I so wanted Lucky to respond back, "Yes, aren't you? Aren't you? Are you a Turtle Boy follower, Hank Brennan?" Because I think everybody in Norfolk County, the district attorney office, follows that award-winning blog. I think all the Mass State Police in Norfolk County follow the Turtle Boy blog, the award-winning, which Hank didn't call him award-winning, but that award-winning blog, pretty much everyone in Massachusetts checks out. We're all followers. A lot of people who don't like Turtle Boy, who don't support him, they follow him. They're following him. So that was pretty funny to see today, to try to make that a big issue. Like, dude, of course he's reading it. If you live in Canton, you care about your town, you're reading Turtle Boy Daily News. You're reading TB Daily News. I mean, come on. So much silliness today. We've got the great guest to talk about it. She's always got a lot to say, and I'm looking forward to her tonight. After all of these witnesses from Dever to the great Dighton police officer Barros yesterday, to Lucky Lawford. Wicked excited to have her back on the show. Once again, we're so blessed and lucky. Attorney Nan Gallagher, known as AKA LaFario on Twitter, back on the show. Welcome back, Nan.
Hey, Mike, how are you? It's great to be an honorary jerk yet again. How are you doing?
Doing great. I want to thank you, too, as well as all the people who were on Calling All Beings earlier this week with DJ and Beatrice and Scott McGinnis and Mazza Media. I'm sure I'm missing some. There were so many great John Como, Gray Space, everybody who helped out on that, and especially you, Nan, for being there. I want to thank you so much for everything you've been doing for the movement and for me personally. I'm really thankful for you.
My pleasure. It was such a great show, and I'm going to help however I can, Mike. So never hesitate to ask for anything. And you got this. You got this battle. You're going to do just great.
I think so. I hope so. You got to keep positive. And our chat's lit up. They're all very happy that Nan's here right now. That they're all celebrating. Great to see you again. You're their favorite. I'm seeing some comments there.
Favorite. You know what
I know. Well, then I see someone say, "This is the comment that's going to come in." Of course, get Bettero on as soon as possible.
Yes, and so many people say, "Oh, get Nan and Bettero together." You know,
I got to say, I gave Bettero the link tonight. I'm not sure if he's busy or what's going on. He knows. He might have 10 shows. He might want the night off. Could show. I don't know. He showed up last night. We'll see. I have no idea if he's going to show up tonight.
He's like like Santa Claus, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think right now, there's only been 2 public sightings of me and him together. So, well, you never know, folks. Maybe there's a little magic, maybe not. But I'm going to say it again, Mike. Bettero is the king. So I'm fine with that. I'm not looking
That's
to dethrone anybody.
yeah. I give him an open invite anytime. Like Lamassu says, Bettero was on Runkle until almost 1 a.m. This morning. So I did a show with Bettero
See?
and Jess Machado starting at 7:30. I loved it because it was like a 2-hour show. We were done. I had them off basically a little after 9, and then I just finished up with the super chat. So it was a 2-hour show exactly, which I like. And the night before, he was only there for maybe an hour or so, which is someone saying I have a hot mic. Whose mic's loud right now? Is it mine or his or hers?
If
Let
it's
me know in
mine,
the chat.
somebody tell me, because
Yeah,
I'm limited in terms of my tech, but I
it's probably me. It's
I can
probably me.
figure it out.
It's me. They're saying I'm way too loud. So let me work on my mic, and we'll just Dan. Why don't you tell us about what you thought about court today while I work on the mic?
Oh, absolutely. Mike's going to work on Mike. By the way, I have some people have reached out to me. I have my Auntie Bev's sidebar and grill t-shirt on. These are made by Dana Jones. She's on X, and she's a fabulous graphic designer among other things, and she makes the absolute best t-shirts, like real soft material. So thank you to Dana. If anyone wants any shirts, she probably doesn't even know I'm saying this, but find her. She's excellent. Anyway, it looks like I think am I here by myself? Okay. Somebody tell me oh, there's Mike. Okay, good. I felt like for a moment my worst nightmare has come true, which is to actually have and create content for my own channel. So that's good. That's not going to happen anytime soon. But
You can
anyway,
do that. I'm
Mike,
just. I'll ask the chat. Is my mic any better right now, folks, or is it louder or
am I
softer?
too low? I heard someone say I'm too low.
You're too
Is
low.
this
Let's. I can work on that.
too
That's probably easier to fix. I can fix that.
okay?
I got you turned up.
You got me turned up.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, don't, watch how you say that, Mike. You're going to get the trolls talking. But anyway, if I sound too low, everybody, let me know. I have some little things I can fiddle with here. Still too low. Hold on one sec.
I can even turn it up a little more.
All right. How we doing? Is this
I think
better?
that's better. I think that's better. I think we're good now.
Okay. All right. So what would you like to know? You want to know how
Well,
I thought?
let's talk about Lucky today because that was the first witness today, and immediately Lucky basically established that he never saw John O'Keefe on the lawn of 34 Fairview.
Oh, yeah.
And then Hank Brennan tried to salvage it. What did you think about him today, Lucky Laughrin, and just his demeanor, his testimony? What were your thoughts today?
Yeah. So we had the ability, all of us, to assess Lucky the first time around. And I actually think he came back even stronger and more definitive this time. Not that I thought he was a bad witness the first time, but if we want to just think back, Ronnie, the juror, had indicated during his interview with Aiden that he had that the jury had somewhat discounted Lucky's testimony as like a non-issue. It wasn't very impactful to them. So this was an opportunity as what I would call a neutral third-party witness. Lucky isn't really a defense witness, and he's not a Commonwealth witness. He's just neutral. The only thing is, he was called by the defense here, and he came in stronger, in my opinion, than he did even during trial 1.0. And Lucky also was able to recap and punctuate the fact that he did multiple passes by 34 Fairview. He had familiarity with the property, the location of the property, the geographics around the property, the Albert family. He even exhibited the fact that he had, contemporaneous and, close in time age relationship to various Alberts. You know, they had gone to school together. He has the town ties. I mean, he's what I would call, and I think you all would call, a townie. So as a townie, he's got, you know, knowledge, access, and frankly, he exhibited a reason to protect the Alberts. It looks like you're fiddling with your cameras. You're gonna. That's good. Do it. Do whatever you got to do, Mike. But I may end up getting.
We got it set. We're fine.
But anyway, so he had a reason, in my opinion, to do things that would have been favorable to the Alberts, and he didn't do that. In fact, he could have reported, well, I guess what I would say is he could have reported the existence of the Ford Edge on the property. He didn't do that. That even neutralizes him even more. Also, in terms of how he was, in my opinion, prepped by David Yannetti. I want to just talk about that for a moment so you all kind of see how the sausage is made from a legal standpoint. So the defense was the only side calling him as the witness, as did happen previously. Lucky had been questioned in trial 1.0 by David Yannetti. I think it was a smart move for David Yannetti to question him again. Just to me, it kind of promotes familiarity with the witness. You know, a little bit of a sense of ease is given to the witness. And Lucky strikes me, and this is just my opinion, as someone who's a little bit more timid, reserved, not out for public attention. So think that was a smart move by the defense, because it could have been anyone questioning him and it was still Yannetti. And then in terms of how he was prepped, which to me, I see that he was prepped, and not over prepped. This is how you don't over prep witnesses. It seemed to me that David had taken great lengths to ask Lucky very simple questions that were easily digestible, easily answered, most of which were answered in one-word answers, which is always not only easier on a witness, but more palatable and understandable for a jury of lay people. So I thought that the questioning went very well. It had a nice melody to it and flow. And Lucky very much confirmed what he confirmed last time, which is there was no body, meaning not nobody, no body out there, and the existence and presence of the Ford Edge. Also, when considering his testimony, I thought it was smart for, and I don't think this happened on 1.0, I think it was smart for Yannetti to mention the incident with the portable basketball hoop ahead of time on direct. That way it didn't look like Lucky was trying to hide something like, oops, I had an accident, and give the Commonwealth some type of aha moment. So Yannetti got ahead of that, which I think helps only add to Lucky's credibility. So all in all, in terms of the direct exam of Lucky, he was fantastic. Now, with regard to the cross, it was an absolute failure on Brennan's part. Brennan didn't beat him up like he tried to beat up Russell and any other defense expert, as we've seen in many voir dires. But Brennan really had some missed punches here. He just swung and missed so many times with Lucky in terms of, you know, what did you see? What time did you see it? Did you tell this statement to investigators? How many times did Brennan say today agents? He called them agents multiple times. So we have this kind of re-enunciation to the jury that the feds were involved and had interviewed key fact witnesses. So, you know, he even corrected himself at one point in the questioning, changing the word agents to something a little bit less indicative of who might have questioned Lucky. But then in terms of the absolute continued stupidity of Hank Brennan, in my opinion, just like with Dr. Russell yesterday, when he kept the picture up of the dog bite or dog nail wounds on John O'Keefe's arm, like, get that picture down as
Right.
many, you know, like he should
helps the defense. Yeah. Keep that picture up there, Hank. I was laughing when he was putting up that picture. I just loved it.
Yeah, keep it up as long as you want. And I heard, I guess it was from your show last evening from Jess Machado, and I saw it myself when I was in the courtroom. The television screen game in the courtroom has significantly improved. There's, and I wasn't in the courtroom for the first trial, but I was in the courtroom for a hearing on the motion to dismiss in early March. And it appeared to me that even from March to April, when I was there again, that the television and audiovisual system had improved significantly. There appear to be very clear, crisp, large televisions. So if you're going to put pictures of a dog bite and dog nail marks of John O'Keefe's arm up on that screen, they're huge screens, very easy for the jury to see and understand. Today, we have the same thing happening with Lucky during his questioning. Brennan stupidly put videos up of the truck, whatever it is, the different plow truck.
Frankenturk. Yeah.
Well, yeah, Frankenstruck.
Yeah.
But also you've got it appeared to me, and I heard some other law tubers comment on this, that there, from some of those time-stamped videos, even if it was one of them, I don't know, the truck passing, the plow truck passing in one or more of those videos wasn't Frankentruck. So even Lucky couldn't even make it out, but it wasn't his truck. So if it was a distinguishable, sorry, I'm glitching. If it was distinguishable by, maybe it's distinguishable to the jury. But also, I put something on X today because it kept bothering me while Brennan was showing these videos. He was saying things like, and look at this video, and what time was that? And you see is that your truck? Did you pass by at that time? I don't really know how that helps the Commonwealth at all. In fact, when I posted something, it made me think like, okay, Brennan's saying things to witnesses like this. On the one hand, he's saying, and you've never spoken to me before, which I think fails every time, because as a neutral third-party witness, Brennan should be talking to witnesses like that. He's the Commonwealth. He should know what they're going to say. He has full access to them, as he has had full access to some of these neutral third-party witnesses like Karina Kolakithis, etc., throughout the entire trial. And he has chosen to just put blinders on and to ignore them. But then when he was showing them on the video, and I'm just looking for my post right now, and I hold on one second because I thought it was key. When he was questioning Lucky on cross, he said something like, yeah, I chuckle watching a specially appointed district attorney ask the plow truck driver who was in the vicinity of the crime scene to identify his plow truck on time-stamped videos when the investigating officers didn't even do that when conducting their investigation contemporaneously in January and February of 2022. Like, why is the prosecutor looking into this now when the officers didn't? So to someone like me with a more discerning eye, I'm hoping the jury has that as well. I'm saying, well, wait a minute. Like, even the officers didn't do that. Lucky wasn't interviewed until well over a year later, and only after some really award-winning reporting came out.
Right.
So I thought Lucky was an absolute win for the defense. I thought he was credible. I hope the jury found it that way and doesn't kind of discount his testimony.
Not. I mean, the first jury did, for some reason. I don't know how you do that, because he was so earnest and so straight shooter. I put up a poll today because it was funny. There's a comment here. Let's find that comment again. Hold on one second. Because it definitely seemed like Hank Brennan was bringing up Turtle Boy today. And he wanted to make it about Turtle Boy. He wanted to bring up that document. I think it was a blog. He says, Hanky gets no panky. Hashtag FKR says they are trying to use Lucky and his testimony to pin new charges on Turtle Boy ? It seemed like that. And just one of the things that it struck me, being reality based, is I was thinking about Lucky, and just, having been to Canton this weekend and knowing his testimony today when he said that he used to work for Chris Albert delivering pizzas and his brother's a select board member. I know all these people know each other. I know all these people see each other on a regular basis. And I'm thinking in Lucky's position, like, if I was Lucky, who would I be more afraid of? And like Lucky said the word aggravating. I think that's exactly the way it is. Like for a normal person, if Turtle Boy pushes back on you with his blog or whatnot,
Yeah.
which I think he might have done to Lucky at first, Lucky said it was aggravating, which that's pretty much what it is. That's an accurate description of it compared to living in Canton with the McAlberts,
Yeah.
knowing that you're testifying against them. I don't think it's aggravating. I think that's actually a little bit scary and uncomfortable for him. So I think it's funny how they say that Turtle Boy is the one who's intimidating. When I ran a poll today, I said, who do you think Lucky's afraid of or intimidated for or pressured by most?
Yeah.
McAlbert's or Turtle Boy or both or none of the above? Of course, McAlbert's number one by far. Everyone felt like it's the McAlberts. Those are the ones who are actually doing the pressure and intimidation campaign. So it's funny how the state always points at Turtle Boy, but they never talk about the McAlberts. And I've been in Lucky's position in the past when I was kind of not sure where I was going. I was waffling and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
The intimidation for me has always been way worse from that McAlbert side. And I don't even live in Canton. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So what do you think about all that when
It's
Hank Brennan's trying to bring in
It's
Turtle
an
Boy?
interesting. This is a really interesting issue because I have quite a few things to say about it. First, I totally agree with you. The McAlberts are an intimidating bunch. I I know that personally, from personal experience. But more importantly, I look at what Brennan was trying to do in court today with Aiden and Lucky and trying to bootstrap Turtle Boy into this trial. So whatever, and I don't know what the quote article was, whichever specific one was at issue that Brennan was looking to get into evidence that created the sidebar that lasted a million years. But that's not and would never have come into evidence unless it had been authenticated. Okay. And the only way to authenticate an article from, I'm not going to call him a blogger. You got to love how Hank kept calling him a blogger, but from an award-winning satirical journalist, is to have that journalist authenticate the article. Well, he didn't do that. Now, I don't know what was argued or discussed at sidebar, but what I can tell you is Hank was never going to call Aiden to the stand at any point. And there was a little bit of banter that went back and forth between me and others on X today about, well, no, he couldn't have ever called Aiden to the stand because Aiden pled the fifth. My understanding, and it is only mine, and maybe you all in the chat agree or can dispel me of or disabuse me of my misunderstanding, but Aiden did not plead the fifth. What happened in a prior pretrial hearing was that Aiden, with Tim Bradle present, was called to sidebar with Judge Cannoni, and I believe that he was asked if he had been called to the stand, would he plead the fifth? Now, I don't recall or know specifically what was said during that sidebar, but what I can tell you is my understanding is there was no pleading of the fifth, which means it would have been fully within Brennan's power, had he wanted to authenticate this quote article through Aiden Carney's testimony before this jury, or even through some type of voir dire process or proffer, as they call it. That didn't happen. Hank was never going to call Aiden. So by using, and I think I'm right, I'm seeing people say, correct. So thank you. And to any of you who are agreeing with me, please, if you're on X, come have my back, because I've been going back and forth with some people on the pleading of the fifth issue as it relates to Turtle Boy, and the trolls are, they're coming at me. So I believe I'm right, and thank you for letting me know. But as it relates to Lucky, there's another layer to this that I've been thinking about this afternoon, which is that here you have Brennan bringing into this trial intimidation. Witness intimidation. Okay. Now, I am not in any way implying that Aiden Carney has intimidated witnesses in this matter or any other. What I'm saying is Brennan opened a door here. And I'm not saying the defense should walk right through it, because the defense doesn't want anything to do with intimidation of witnesses before this jury. I was a little surprised that the defense allowed the intimidation issue to go as far as it did today during Lucky's testimony. So it really wasn't pushed very far, but I would have tried to shut that down immediately. Now, maybe they did. Maybe the defense did, and they had a sidebar and there was a discussion about it, but it didn't give me that sense because there was continued discussion once they went back on the record before the jury as to Brennan's perceived thoughts on whether Aiden intimidated Lucky or whether Lucky felt bothered by this or influenced by overtures from this quote blogger. So what I loved most about how kind of the testimony proceeded with Lucky was watching Aiden. Aiden was kind of, I mean, I don't know if I could say he was loving it. I don't know him well enough to say I could speak to his emotions, but he sure, I would have loved it if I were him. Like, yeah, I had.
Wait, promote me to the world, Hank Brennan. That's pretty much what it is.
Yeah,
Like he's getting
yeah.
the biggest promotion boost ever. Everyone's going to talk about him all day. So,
Yeah. So, like, I feel like Lucky, who is just as raw and honest and has no dog in this fight, no pig on this farm. Lucky kind of handled those questions about intimidation with grace. You know, he feels aggravated about the fact that he has been brought into this, or maybe has, and these are my words, achieved a little bit of a celebrity status in all of this, but he doesn't revel in it. Like, he doesn't strike me, and I don't think he's going to strike this jury as someone who's soaking it all up.
no. And if you know anything about Canton and you know about Lucky and who he is, it's
Yeah.
not who he is. He exactly what he showed today. That's who he
Yeah.
is. He does, the thing that he's been going through from, I don't know Lucky, I
Losing
haven't
his
met
wife.
Lucky, but
Right.
I've talked to his family, some of his family, a lot of his friends, and exactly losing his wife. Like that's been the focus is his wife over the last, how long. So like this is a guy, he just works his job, he worries about his family, and he doesn't want that celebrity. Like he's not a glory hound.
Yeah.
This is tough for him. Like he's stuck in between a rock and a hard place, just trying to do the right thing. And it just, it's funny how they try to bring Turtle Boy in. I think they're trying to do what the defense is doing with Proctor. They're trying to make Turtle, like, I think you're 100% right. That he had no intention. He knew, number one, Aiden would plead the fifth. And if Aiden didn't plead the fifth, he'd probably blow up Hank's case. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's the thing. Aiden, it would be a live wire. It'd be the worst thing ever for Hank's case if Aiden really decided to talk and risk himself in the trial. And I say risk because it's a risk. He's facing charges.
Right.
There's a reason he should plead the fifth. But they're trying to make him the boogeyman you don't know, you don't see, you don't hear. You see
Yeah.
him in the court, you see him in the back there, whispers, oh, he's here. He seems to be enjoying this. Like, I think they're trying to make him the boogeyman, like Michael Proctor. Like, the
Right.
defense has a boogeyman right now that the jury doesn't even know what he looks like. They're like, who
Right.
is this Proctor guy? Who's this Higgins guy? Why do they keep talking about these guys and they're not here? I think the prosecution is reaching. They're so desperate at this
Yeah.
point. They're trying to drag anything they could. And it was like a fishing expedition. It felt like today that they were fishing for Cosgrove. They were like, we might lose this Karen Reeve thing, but let's stick in a Turtle Boy. Let's get Lucky to admit on the stand
I
about the
felt
wiretapping stuff.
intimidated. Right. Or
Yeah,
just
I think that
I
was the
was reported.
biggest piece he got against Turtle Boy today. And I almost wonder, is it like a tag team affair where they're trying to get evidence against Aiden to go after him later on new charges? Do you think that was any thought in Hank Brennan's mind, like he just wants to
Yeah.
stick it to Aiden, or do you think it was just a boogeyman thing?
I think it's a little bit of both. I do think they're never going to stop until they get Aiden, and I also, as it was unfolding this afternoon or this morning, I can't remember when that unfolded, but I guess it was in the morning. As it unfolded, I remember thinking, oh my God, like, can you imagine if Brennan replaces Cosgrove in the prosecution of matters against Aiden? But when I think about Aiden and being in that courtroom, so obviously he knew that today was Lucky's day. I mean, it ended up not being yesterday, but he knew it was today. And he showed up in a red shirt. He came to be present. These are my opinions. But, if you want to paint yourself into a wall, be there, but be a little bit of a wallflower, you wear a neutral color shirt like I have on, which matches my complexion. But he came in a red shirt, guns a-blazing, and he was like, yeah, and some of the pictures that are out there of how he withstood some visual scrutiny, some cameras were on him. And he was there sitting saying, okay, let's see what happens here. That article was never coming in. And Lucky said nothing in any way that could have inculpated Aiden. I think it's amazing that Lucky subscribes to Turtle Boy News or, watches the YouTube presentations, as Cosgrove says. And Lucky has every reason to do that. I mean, think about how many people who hate Aiden who watch his programs or streams and who read his articles. So you can like Aiden, you can hate Aiden, and you can still follow Aiden. So
you may feel ambivalent about it. And if you live in Canton, if you live in Norfolk County, I'm going to give Aiden another phrase. Instead of like the blogger or the award-winning journalist, he is the most followed journalist in Canton, Massachusetts. He is the most followed journalist in the Norfolk County area. If you're in Norfolk County, you are right now. There's a very good chance you're following Aiden Carney, Turtle Boy. Whether you agree with him, whether you disagree with him, or whether you just feel like, I don't know. I just want to find out what's going on. I just want to get some news and info and see what this guy's saying right now about my friends and neighbors and family. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and he says it so honestly and brashly. I need news like that where I live. I don't have someone like Turtle Boy in my geographic zone. And honestly, I want to say there was one of the McAlberts, maybe it's Julie Albert. One of them said, like, my worst nightmare is to be featured in one of Turtle Boy's articles. I know there was a McAlbert who was quoted on that in one of the texts at some point in time. He's got like he had the receipts on that at some point. And that's the thing I like most about him, is that Aiden always has the receipts. So, from a journalism standpoint, if I lived in I call it Norfolk County, by the way. I don't call it Norfolk County. But if I lived up in that county or in the Canton area, I would embrace having a journalist like that who's kind of just going to tell it like it is and show up. I mean, how many times do I say to people, keep showing up? He shows up. And if he's not showing up, he's got another reason not to, whether it's children related or other work obligations. But even if he's not in the courtroom with that messed up randomizer system up there, which is just complete BS, he's often standing, quote, boots on the ground. So, Lucky has, how do I say this? If Brennan in any way is trying to score points by implying either intimidation by Turtle Boy of Lucky, some type of affinity between the two, or any type of fanship or fandom that Lucky would have towards Aiden, they all fell flat. And I hope that the defense recapitulates that even briefly during their very limited 1 hour closing. I think it's important to mention that there's nothing there. This is probably one of the most honest, forthright witnesses that just comes, tells his story, was unflinching. I give him a chef's kiss. God forbid they hit any animals. I mean, if I want him plowing my roads, you know what I mean? But as
I want him on my DPW, definitely.
Yeah.
He's like the all-American guy, does the right thing. Everyone likes him. Just a nice guy,
And take what Brennan, if the best Brennan has is to put up on a screen the picture of Lucky standing next to a person. I'm not even going to say a Free Karen Reed supporter, because I couldn't tell. I didn't have my glasses on from.
No, I'm not. Yeah, I didn't. It's funny because I was walking the dog at the point, so I didn't get to see the picture. I wasn't looking down, but I
Yeah.
have a feeling that might have been Rita and her friends because they
Oh,
took the picture. Was it some females with pink shirts on, maybe?
I thought I saw someone in a green shirt, but so
Okay.
everyone always knows. First of all, I could
Oh, actually,
recognize.
there were green shirts. You're right. That
Was
they
it
did. They,
Rita?
they
Okay.
did. That was Rita and them because they did wear green shirts that day. I got confused. Yeah,
I
they wore green lucky shirts that day. Actually, yes.
and
I
I
mean, of course,
recognized
he's
Rita,
leaving
but I wasn't.
court, and there are locals wearing a shirt, a lucky shirt that they made. Why wouldn't he be polite and take a picture? You know what I mean? Let's like, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, i- i- people like people are taking pictures of me walking up the street. I'm like, why are you taking pictures of me? Like that doesn't in any way indicate one thing or another. It doesn't even mean he liked it or not. And guess
He's
what?
just being polite, being polite. Like he said, I'm just being nice. I just don't want to have any issues.
Yeah.
And so anyone asked me to take my picture with me, I say, yes, sure. You know what I
See,
mean? It's just
this is
being nice. I don't know who these people are, you know?
and
I
this
don't
is
know.
the stupid stuff that makes me think that Brennan is in bed with some of the heads of the trolls, because
Oh, yeah.
yesterday the banter coming out from trolldom was that, oh, there's pictures out there of Sergeant Nicholas
Yeah.
Barros with Free Karen Reed supporters. That's why I think there's some,
Coordinated. Oh, yeah.
yeah, it's
I
coordinated.
don't just think that. I know it. I mean, at this
Yeah, you
point,
know it.
I know it. I mean, and Hank Brennan, that's the embarrassing part about Hank Brennan. It's like, dude, what you got into the mud with these people. Like, it's just,
Yeah. You're taking your paycheck, and I want to mention this because I was bantering about this with someone earlier in the week. Um, not all everyone needs to remember something. This is my opinion, but Brennan has taken his 200 something thousand dollars, and it will be more than that, folks. And that's not including all of the expert costs. So let's not forget aperture fees. Okay, what is that? $400,000 to aperture. Think
right
about
there.
where
Yep.
your taxpayer dollars are going. But in addition to Brennan's salary or payment as an engaged independent contractor for a DA office that is perfectly staffed and does not allegedly have a conflict, and you've got Lally sitting there and McLaughlin sitting there, so there is no conflict. They're able to try the case. You've got Brennan taking his pay plus Lally's salary, which is about $150,000 a year, plus McLaughlin's salary, which is in the vicinity of $120,000 a year, I'm estimating. I had someone send me their salaries the other day. But when you think about what is being paid in terms of payment for fees, attorney's fees, and salary for individuals to try this case, which is a complete sham, I would be fuming if I were a taxpayer up there.
Right.
And that,
It's millions of dollars. And then
millions.
you look at the state police details that they have outside
Yeah.
harassing people. You're talking several $1 million just to retry one case.
Just to
That's
retry one
crazy.
case when
Crazy.
when even jury number 1 didn't think it was a murder. So, like, people are saying, "Oh my god, what if it's a mistrial?" I think there's a high likelihood of a mistrial. First of all, I do not. I
Oh
think this
no.
is going to be an acquittal. I don't see this trending as being a split decision or any mistrial. I laid eyes on this jury. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be an acquittal. But can you
So
imagine if there's another retrial of this?
I
Like,
can't do this again. I can't do this again. I don't think Karen can. I mean, this is just,
no, no, she can't. She absolutely
oh
can't. It's too
man,
much.
it is.
So, so when you see Brennan putting pictures up of Lucky standing with, and by the way, guys, I know what Rita looks like. I actually was just kind of without glasses glancing and then getting back
Yeah.
to work.
We're doing, you got people have to realize we're not glued 24/7. A lot of us have lives during the day.
Yeah. Yeah, but when I look at that, I'm like, okay, that's the best you got? That and this article, which again, I don't know which one it was, that's what you're going to cross-examine him on? I actually think Brennan did worse of a job crossing Lucky than Lally did. Lally did a more effective cross-examination. And I also want to mention one other thing about those really clear television screens and the continuous publication of the videos before this jury as to the passing of the plow trucks, near 34 Fairview that he wanted Lucky to identify. It only, to me, helped me see how spatially close everything is. Where, I don't know what it's called, Crestview or whatever that road is called, or Chapman, whichever the perspective was, how close the crossroad is to 34 Fairview. Those were from the vantage point of, I believe, one of the police cams, the dash cams. So it was from a dash cam. Then people like me start thinking, did you see how close that side road is, that cross street is to 34 Fairview? You saw the videos yourself. How is that in any way going to jive with the story that Brennan wants the jury to believe in terms of the arrival of the D'Antano video and how close, what the passage of time was from when that, or Ryan Nagel, whoever was driving, when that vehicle arrived and Karen's vehicle was there, and then there was a pulling up or a pulling back, and she's in the vehicle and she's by herself and nobody saw a body. So the spatial videographic evidence of that was very helpful to me. And maybe there's people on the jury who actually see that and pick up what the defense puts down. Hold on one second, Mike. Just getting, oh, sorry. Yeah, no, one of my clients, I told him to text me urgently if he was getting arrested. He's not. So I appreciate him telling me that. I didn't want to ruin the evening. I'm going on a legit business trip tomorrow. But anyway, I think that these types of videos will absolutely help a jury understand things are closer in proximity than they may appear on in pictures. Some of the pictures get distorted. But yeah, Lucky, big win. And then as far as Karina Kolakithis, I think I saw someone put on X, they called her like Testa Mama. She's this really earthy, relatable woman. And I almost tweeted something when she was saying, it was a long day and I was at work, and she's a professional in the healthcare field, and she gets home, she didn't want to go out, she didn't want to go have drinks, she just wanted to kind of hang out. And I felt her, she was a vibe. She's like the Nan Gallagher vibe.
She was normal. Like I always say, her and her husband were the smart ones too, just like Karen. You know why? Because they didn't want to go to the McAlbert's house. They didn't want to go after you know what I mean? Like after last call, they were like, I want to go home. Like, we're not going out. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, like the McAlberts are people, and these are my opinions, not that of the show, but like they want to go out drinking and hanging out with their kids and drinking and staying out till all hours of the night. And, like, I'm sorry, like, what do you call it up there? Losers. You guys are just losers.
Drunks.
And
that's what I call them, drunks. If you're
drunks.
still going, if you're still having, just the last call get-togethers in your 50s.
Yeah. Like,
there's something not right there. I'm sorry. I mean, it's one thing if you meet,
40s.
it's one thing if you, like I said the other night, if it's one thing if you meet like Bruce Springsteen or Eddie Vedder at the bar and they're playing some songs and they say, hey, I want to play some songs at your house. Then you have them over. Okay, I can say 50 plus. You have Bruce Springsteen play some songs. But beyond that, the local guys, the local townies come to your house. That's crazy.
It's, and some of them are in their 40s and they're just, guys, hang it up. Or a once in a while thing, but this is like a pattern of behavior. And yes, I see in your chat, there's some rumors that have gone around about the McAlberts. I won't comment on them other than to say, isn't it interesting what people tend to say about other people? So for what it's worth, the McAlberts are, they're bad people. Just like I said in my, I don't know if you saw my most latest installment of my video. My son is doing the driving interviews of mommy, and he asked me what a McAlbert was. And I had to explain to him what a McAlbert was. And ultimately I said, they're bad people. They know the truth and they choose to lie. So all in all, people like Karen, people like the Kolakithises, and I guess the other gentleman, I can't think of his name. He was at the first bar, Camerano. I don't think he went to the waterfall, but like people, there's like normal adult behavior after a long day and an impending blizzard. And then there's the McAlberts. And in a world full of craziness like that and bad things that can happen, be a normal person. Don't be a McAlbert, because look what happens. And I thought Karina did a great job. She actually reminds me of one of my best friends who's a Greek woman, has that bubbly personality. You just feel like you've been talking to them forever, makes you smile. And she seemed very relatable. And Karen, whom I've met, I get, Karen is, she's a very reserved woman from my observation of her. And I imagine, and I don't know this, but I imagine it's hard for her, and maybe it wasn't before all of this happened, but I imagine it's hard for her to trust and be besties with lots of people. I don't think she was besties with Jennifer McCabe either. So when we think about Karen's personality, or what we know of it, my observations of it, I have a feeling that Karen gravitated towards someone like Karina, who seems to be a warm and personable woman, very credible. There was nothing that Hank could do to, did he finish her? I'm trying to remember if he finished her off. I think he did. Yeah, she was done. There was nothing that could be done on cross of her, although, to be honest with you, my memory of her cross is completely gone right now, unless someone refreshes my recollection. But there was, do you remember, does anyone remember if he crossed her and if it was effective? I can't speak to it. I'm drawing a blank.
The first time, I don't think so.
You don't think he
sure.
crossed her? I don't know what
so.
what your chat's saying. I can't remember.
That was so long ago.
Well, no, I don't mean in the first trial. I mean
today?
today.
No,
yeah.
Today, no, he did not.
Did he not? Okay, then my memory is not. He crossed her. Now I'm getting mixed up.
Someone's saying he crossed her. I don't think he did, though. Oh, someone
Very
said he did
brief.
cross her quickly.
Okay. So funny, guys. Put it this way: if I don't
questions.
remember,
Well, I want to know what the 3 questions are, because I definitely missed that. I thought he didn't cross her at all.
Thanks, Leighton. To be honest with you all, if you if it only happened easily like 5-6 hours ago, and I don't remember that it even happened, it meant that it was a nothing burger. If you only,
like I said, sometimes we're doing other things.
Yeah.
I'm not watching every minute of testimony. Usually I get it later. Like that's usually I get it on the replay. Like later tonight, I'll watch it again. And
yeah, me too.
Tomorrow, I'm going to be watching it. I love having tomorrow off, because that's the thing. I'm going to do maybe a show during the afternoon, just go through everything again, do all the replays. And I know a lot of shows have already done it, but for me, I like to just watch it again. So we'll probably do that live tomorrow, watch everything again, make sure we soak it all in. Let's talk about some of the other testimony, because beyond Karina, Lucky today, I want to go back to Barros yesterday, because that was the moment that I just... And I asked Betterow last night. I said, "Is this the moment that we've been waiting for? 2 trials in, like this is," because I felt like it. I felt like this is when he said, he pointed. What did he say?
He said he used some definitive language that really resonated with me. He said, "Absolutely not."
That's it.
That was good punctuation, and he said it more than once. I know he said something, and I'm going by memory, but something to the effect of the taillight did not look like that, with emphasis on the not. He would not allow himself to, and by he, I mean Barros, would not allow himself to be in any way influenced adversely by Hank's gaslighting. And I think it's important to remember, because some people were concerned, at least from my observation on social media, that Barros seemed to kind of be a little bit more equivocal during cross. Like maybe people thought, oh, wait, maybe his memory isn't that good. No one's memory is perfect. Okay. But there are things that you absolutely do remember. And that's why I thought that Alan's redirect of Officer or Sergeant Barros was so key, when he's asking him about his birthday, etc. That was such great redirect. very simple language, very easily related analogies and metaphors. And he just was able to recapitulate with Sergeant Barros what that taillight looked like. Then again, like I said, let's remember those television screens are top notch now, and they're bigger in that courtroom. And it was readily apparent, at least to me, from looking at what I was looking at, and I was watching it, I think, on my phone. But I'm like, look at it. The tail light is red. So kudos to you, Sergeant Barros. I put a little meme out there. I was so proud of myself. I created like my first meme, and I put a picture of Sergeant Barros next to Officer Dever or Deaver, whatever the heck her name is. And
Kelly. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my opinion, she's an abomination to all officers out there. But I put a little meme together, and I put a picture of him, the word hero under Sergeant Barros, and I put the word coward under Officer Dever. And I wrote, one defends the truth when it's dangerous. The other protects silence when it's safe. In every badge, there's a choice: serve justice or serve the system. And I did that while I was at a client meeting, and I was so proud of myself. I started like smiling, and my clients started looking at me, and I went, okay, I got to stop. But I just have this trial. This whole case is on my brain. I'll be very happy when it's over. But Sergeant Barros did wonderfully. He held up. I was a little concerned in my mind before he testified, because last trial, Mike, I was like, God, I know he said what he said during trial 1.0, or the commentary that was going back and forth about it was cracked but not completely broken, or something to that effect. And I know that the defense only lightly they lightly crossed him on that. I was concerned that he wasn't going to go further than that. You know, the old saying, be careful what you ask for. Or
sometimes quit while you're ahead, right?
Yeah. And I've had to do that during trials where I'm like, I want to ask a couple more questions, but I'm so afraid that they're going to make this much harder for me. And don't do it. Just restrain yourself. I was very, very happy that he, just unclenched and let it all out and kind of purged himself of what he's been carrying, because it sure seems,
didn't it seem like he's been like chomping at the bit? Like he was probably aggravated he didn't get to say it in trial 1. I'm thinking about a t-shirt. We're gonna have a picture of Barros on the stand and just absolutely not. Just love that. Absolutely not. That's it. That's the t-shirt. I love that. Or you can put the two, like you said, the two faces of Barros and Kelly Devers. LTL called her. He said she looks like Veruca Salt. That's what she reminded me of. Veruca Salt.
It's probably backwards. There's the meme, and it's backwards, inverted, but hero and coward. I think there should be apparel. Just, there's so many different. I'm a big fan of wearing thoughts. You know what I mean? Just putting them on clothes, be comfortable, and send messages. I'm going to be in St. Louis the next several days for business, and I'm bringing my Karen Reed attire for when I'm not in my client meetings, and hopefully it resonates with some people. I'd be interested to see if people in Missouri are following this case, which you have to be unless you're living under a rock. But yeah, I think what Barros did was bold. He wanted to get it out. He was happy that someone asked him. These are my observations. But in addition to that, like, he kind of emphasized, like, nobody asked him. Had the Commonwealth really kicked the tires on some of these witnesses, they really never should have brought these charges, which is why I keep circling back in my mind to the absolute tacit corruption that's going on up there, because the Commonwealth does know. And I heard Bettero and on his thought on this kind of subject. I not specifically corruption, but when he was kind of saying, and I think he put it in one of his tweets, he was saying, people should look at the fact that Lally called Barros on their case in chief for 1.0 and prepped him, met with him, presumably showed him pictures of the taillight. Any lawyer who's prepping a witness is going to say, okay, I'm going to be showing you this. I'm going to ask you a few questions about this. This is what you can expect. If that had happened, Barros would have absolutely told Lally, that's not what it looked like. Or I have concerns here. Like, this isn't what I recall happening. So I have questions about Lally and in terms of what he knew and how he let certain things go before trial, a jury in trial 1.0. And ultimately, I think that in the final reckoning that's going to happen one day, the post-mortem on this whole matter, either following an acquittal, which I hope, or a conviction, which I doubt, there's going to be some heavy scrutiny of the prosecutorial team, possibly the judge, but the prosecutorial team's involvement in this matter.
Absolutely should be. I
Yeah.
like your dog more brought it up. Mark Betterow made a great point on X today about the significance of Lally not asking Barros for specifics in the
Yeah.
first trial. He also made that point, as Nan noted on the show last night on this show, probably
Yeah.
on Runkle's show as well. Last night he was up late. He did back-to-back shows. There was also a point here, the same I like your dog more pointed out and reminds me, the defense, it all ties into this. The first trial, we were wrong. The defense actually didn't ask Barros any questions. They let
Yeah.
the prosecution do the questions, and then they didn't ask him any questions. And it's because they didn't know.
Right,
Like you said,
right.
they didn't know. They felt like, well, we got enough just from the prosecution, asking their own witness some questions, so we're not going to take a chance. We're just going to let it go because we don't know if this guy's going to help us anymore. So they didn't ask him any questions. But if they had known, if the prosecution had actually done what they're supposed to do, the
Yeah.
defense would have known to ask those questions in the first trial.
So it's so interesting the way my memory works with this stuff, Mike, because I
much. It's hard to keep track of.
It is, and with one point, and me being just like a outside commenter and watching trial 1.0, like now I remember they didn't cross him because he gave them just enough. Just like they kind of didn't cross Kerry Roberts in 1.0 because she didn't really hurt the defense. And if you open up this can of worms, it can backfire. But I completely agree with the fact that, Barros gave them just enough for the defense to rely upon in 1.0, and then they don't have access to this guy. He's an officer. He's in law enforcement. So technically, the defense would have been taking a big risk had they gone further with questioning, not fully knowing what he was going to say. But the converse is so interesting to me because in this case, the Commonwealth, speaking of dogs, my dog is now home from her daycare and she probably wants to come see me.
I see her. You want to let her in? I see her moving back.
Oh no, she'll absolutely attack me. She'll go absolutely berserk.
She'll knock over everything.
Yeah, this dog is like, I tell people she's like the Terminator and I'm Sarah Connor. Like if she can't get to me, especially after being gone all day, forget it. But I do think it's really notable to me that the Commonwealth didn't go after Barros. They didn't go after Lucky. Like they don't want to hear what these people have to say.
It's like, see no evil, hear no evil.
Yeah.
You pretend it doesn't exist. And the best way to do that is don't go talk to them. Like, it's so funny that the defense, Barros went this second trial. He went and met with the defense. Prosecution could have met with him. They don't want to know. They don't want to know. They didn't. I mean, think about that.
Well, that's the thing. This is something, if Karen's defense team is listening, I would spend a little bit of precious real estate in your closing pointing out some things that were not done. So we all talk about the fact that, of course, they're going to say, and did you notice they didn't call the lead investigator, Proctor? Like, they're going to say that. Now, the counterpoint to that is Brennan's going to say it too. Brennan's going to say, did you notice they didn't call him? Which is burden shifting. And Karen doesn't have to call anyone. in her defense or to testify on her own behalf. But the defense is going to say that about the lack of calling of the lead investigator. But the defense should spend just a little bit of time during closing saying things like, did you notice that Brennan said, like, and we've never met. He never met with Barros, who's an officer who was involved in the timeline. Never met with him. You heard that he was called as a witness in trial 1.0 and he wasn't called this time. He never met with Lucky. They don't know each other. Lucky was there during the relevant contemporaneous time period. So those little nuances can go a really long way to help a jury better digest that the fix is in. Like, it's not really factual, that it's argument. That's what closing arguments are about. So while these things happen and Brennan failed to reach out to key critical witnesses because of his blinders, we want arguments as to how that kind of supports a reasonable doubt perspective.
Mark Paint's got a great timely question here. What do you think they will do about the missing witness motion? What do you think Bev will do? Did I miss her ruling? Did we miss her ruling? I thought she only ruled on
I thought she only ruled on Easter.
Easter.
I don't. Well, I love Murph Paint. What do I think she'll do? I think that Judge Bev is going to do whatever harms the defense most on that. So as far as the missing witness motion is concerned, what she should do is anything that defense is asking for, they should get it. I don't have it in front of me, and I'm always at the mercy of licensed Massachusetts attorneys, which I'm not currently yet, to send those to me. I remember glancing at it on X. I don't remember the specifics, but she will do whatever it is that benefits the Commonwealth and screws Karen and her defense. But if anyone wants to put in the chat specifically what they were asking for to remind me, I'm happy to speak more specifically on it.
Sean was proud of his niece and a good guy.
Yeah.
Done. So that was the little cross that we, I think I did hear that now.
Yeah. I mean, and as far as missing witnesses, I've heard people say, there's buzz out there. There's buzz that Higgins is in rehab or that Proctor and or Higgins can't be found. I don't know if any of that has been validated. Like, I try very hard to stay away. I'm seeing, by the way, someone said they want to mention not calling Proctor and the Bryans. Okay, I got it. So the defense should be able to speak to the absence of Proctor or the Brian Albert or Brian Higgins in this trial and in closing. They have free reign to do that. I'd be shocked if Judge Cannoni screws the defense on that. Like, you can't put a burden on a defendant to call specific witnesses. It's kind of like what happened last week with the argument that David Yannetti was making regarding the text messages and whether or not the friend, I think his name is Diamandis, could authenticate those text messages. And Yannetti was arguing to the judge, like, we decide who we call. And the Commonwealth is like egging us on. They're goading us to call Proctor. And it's kind of like a game of chicken. And the defense shouldn't be forced to do that. I feel so strongly in that the Commonwealth, any prosecution, should not be able to strategically dictate or force what witnesses a defendant calls on his or her own behalf. So the Commonwealth had the opportunity to call Proctor. They didn't. I think that was a blown opportunity. But by doing that and not bringing him to the stand and having him be accountable and face the music, warts and all, then Karen and her team had a decision to make. I don't know the specifics of what they thought about, but when it came to Proctor, they probably said, okay, what are the pros and cons of this? We're going to have to give him direct questions. We can't lead him. Although Cannoni is being much more liberal, in my opinion, very liberal in allowing leading questions in the defense case on direct. But there's other pros and cons that they were considering as well. Like, well, if Brennan's allowed to cross Proctor, they're going to ask him all these questions. It's going to be messy. It could end up spinning a narrative against us. So it's just unfair. It's inequitable for the Commonwealth to strategically kind of shepherd a defendant into choosing or not choosing what witnesses she calls and what witnesses that she doesn't call. So if she chooses not to call Proctor, Higgins, or Brian Albert, that's her choice. That's her constitutional right. Now, not having seen that missing witness motion since I glanced at it on X, I have to say that I'm imagining it says something like they should be able to, whomever filed it, whichever side filed it, the argument should be that if she doesn't call them as witnesses, then she shouldn't be able to mention anything about them in closing, etc. Maybe I've botched it all together, but ultimately, as the case law in Massachusetts clearly states, and it's also kind of nationally bound case law on this, you don't call a witness, you're still allowed to mention them in closing arguments. You just can't bring in unauthenticated evidence like Brennan keeps doing throughout this trial. So we'll see what happens.
He does that a lot, doesn't he?
Oh,
He brings up unauthenticated evidence.
Yeah.
Lulu says, why is Brennan not giving a transcript when witnesses ask? What do you think about that, Nan?
Yeah. So I think it's two reasons. I think Brennan is very comfortable gaslighting people. He's very comfortable, as we've all seen pre-trial, that he likes to fudge words a little bit.
Is that his skill? Because I say he's skilled,
Yeah.
and I think those are his skills. Like some people get offended when I say he's got skills, but he does. Like a lot of people don't want to go there. They would be uncomfortable to go as far as he does. I look at it as a skill. Those are skills, aren't they? He's got some skills.
It's a skill, but it's like a toxic skill. It's kind of like he is a gaslighter, but he's also someone who will misstate things very subtly till you buy into it. And then it doesn't really matter anymore. It's kind of like when he told Judge Cannoni pre-trial that, he got this information from the feds about ARCA, and really the information came from the defense. But this is the grave concerns day back in February. I think it was like February 18th or something like that, where the judge had these grave concerns because of something he misstated on the record. So as far as Brennan's concerned, I think it's twofold. He's very good at spinning words so that you kind of believe what he's saying. Meanwhile, a subtle difference between the transcript and what he said could make all the difference in how a witness answers. But the other reason I think he doesn't give transcripts when a witness asks, I think he's ill prepared. I don't think he has it down to the page and line number that is needed for effective cross-examination. I think he's actually ill prepared in that regard. So when I cross-examine witnesses at trial or at depositions, which are out of court sworn testimony, I make sure, if I'm relying upon other transcripts to cross them, that I have marked that the transcripts are tabbed and labeled and page numbers and lines, and I show them. And if you all notice, this is what the defense does. Whether it's Alessi or Jackson, even Yannetti, they will show you something so you can be familiar with it and be confronted with your actual words.
Yeah. Sorry, I was messing with my chair. I got a new chair in here. I don't know if you noticed.
Oh yeah, nice. It's nice.
I gotta get used to it. So thank you so much, Lulu.
Thanks, Lulu.
I was trying to raise a chair and I dropped myself too much. It's funny.
And I missed that. I would have laughed my ass off.
I'm laughing at myself. The ghost of I am too comfortable tonight with attorney Nan Gallagher.
We go way back.
I feel like you're an old friend now, and I just did I let my hair down with you. The ghost of Brian Higgins' SIM card, which is dangerous. Says only reason Turtle Boy was selected. This is a good one. Only reason Turtle Boy was selected as alternate. So basically, he's talking about how they pick people to sit in the press gallery. There's a lottery to pick, and you got to be approved. And I've tried to be approved. They haven't gotten back to me. It's been weeks. I guess they don't. They don't want me in there. But so let's get back to this question. Only reason Turtle Boy was selected by the courts as an alternate was because they knew Lucky was going to testify, and they wanted Turtle Boy there to prove their bullshit theory.
Wow.
I think there's something to that, and I just got a note.
That's very interesting.
Next week they've selected who's going to be in court, and again they didn't pick Aiden, and Grant Smith Ellis got selected again. It's unbelievable.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
First of all, the Ghost of Brian Higgins SIM card. I think this is really like that theory is so accurate and blows my mind at the same time.
It sucks that we have to think like this, and at the even beyond even thinking like this, that I think this is not crazy. Like the Ghost of Brian Higgins SIM card, usually you'd make a statement like that and be like, "You're nuts. There's no way a court's rigging that."
Yeah.
But in this case, I'm like, "Yeah, I think you're right," and you'd think that too, and you're an attorney. That's wild. But tell us why you think that. Why do you think it?
Well, I think it's one of two things. I think it's that. I think they wanted to see. And by the way, I actually don't even know exactly who I mean by they.
Who's doing the
Commonwealth? Is it the Morrissey? And I understand they're all one and the same, but somebody on the other side who is a proponent of injustice wants to see the connection, wanted to have the moment of connection between Turtle Boy and Lucky. They wanted to see if there could be some type of perceivable intimidation, if they wanted the jury to kind of see. I think the jury can know who Turtle Boy is. Like, you don't have to not know any single witness to not serve as a juror. The standard is, can you be impartial? Can you put what you know aside or biases aside based on like certain litmus tests that are met? And can you be impartial? So I'm sure many of the jurors, if not all of them, know of Turtle Boy or who Aiden Carney is, and that's Aiden Carney in the backdrop. That doesn't mean there's a problem, but I think somebody on the other side wanted to see that friction, conflict. But the other theory I had up until yesterday was Jess Machado and Aiden Carney were two of the only people whom I follow that were calling bullshit on this randomizer. And isn't it ironic or coincidental that they both bitched about it last week and suddenly they were picked for this week?
I know.
So
I'm waiting for them to approve me now that I'm complaining, because it's been weeks and they haven't approved me as a journalist in there. And if it's good enough for RKO and the Howie Carr radio network every Friday.
And John DePetro.
I think I'm qualified. I think I should be qualified to go in there and view what's going on. It's crazy. They're not getting back to me. And it's I have a feeling they'll get back to me as soon as the trial's done. They'll be like, oh. But the thing with Aiden too, it's like the fact that he was there today and next week he's not going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a travesty. It's ridiculous. And the fact that the fact that we're bringing this up, and like you said, Jessica Machado and Aiden had to bring this up because the randomizer has been so not random.
It's
the same
not.
People keep winning every week. And the court, now that they know that we're all talking about on Twitter or we're questioning it, and we think there's something wrong with it, the reasonable thing to do would have been to come back this week and say, you know what? We're going to let you journalists in and we're going to let you view the live drawing so you can see it and it's legit. And then it would have been done. Everyone would be like, okay, you picked Grant. We saw it. We know it's legit. But they don't do that. They continue to do everything in secrecy. They don't and like I said, YouTubers run these charities online, these raffles. I see them even on Facebook pages, Facebook groups.
Mike.
Yeah, if we can do these fundraisers, these raffles. I don't do them, but I've seen other people do them everywhere, all over YouTube. I see them all the time. People do these fundraisers and raffles and everywhere, even before Karen Reed. I've seen this done so many times online where people just have a fun little thing. They can do it transparently. If they can do it transparently on YouTube, just somebody who's sitting in their basement, I think the court can do that. Why can't they let the journalists see the drawing?
Well, it's kind of like
If
Jess Machado was saying on your show last night. Like the way to, and I'm paraphrasing her, the way to like piss her off is to keep from her transparency. Like if you're going to hide transparency, she's going to be very interested in what you're doing because
that's
you're,
me. That's me too. Like, because that's what stinks. The
yeah.
fact that we've made an issue of this, you know there's an issue, and you're not doing the right thing. It's just like the jury selection. Are they going to do the jury selection behind closed doors again? Are we going to actually get to see them select the tiles and know that it's legit?
Yeah, the
They
bingo
hid it from
balls.
us. Yeah,
Yeah.
they hid it from us. They're hiding. So this is what's so shady. You know, whether or not they're actually fixing it or not, there's the appearance of it. I was a financial advisor. You don't want the appearance of shadiness.
Yeah.
That's what a professional is about. You try to avoid the appearance, even if there isn't any shadiness, just the appearance. And in court, I don't get why they're not doing the right thing. This is what drives me nuts.
Yeah, we call it the appearance of impropriety. If there's
Yes.
any smidge or sniff of something's not right here, then it creates an appearance of impropriety. And to go further, like in my jurisdictions, and I'm sure the same happens for Bettero, it's like they let the attorneys watch the bingo balls. Like we get
Yeah.
to see who's picked. So there's never any problem. That this lack of transparency and candor are really concerning as it relates to, as I call the bingo balls for jury alternate selection, and for this randomizer, which is, it's anything but random. I don't understand how John DePetro has gotten in as much as he did. Grant Smith Ellis has gotten in as much as he did. And you know, if it matters, Mike, you could go sit in Turtle Corner if you want to go down to Dedham and go set up shop and do an FCC approved broadcast out of the you could, I'm
I'm
sure,
glad I could. I'm glad I could do that now. I'm glad I don't need court approval anymore to do
yeah,
that.
you could
That's just
sublease
they,
space
they
from
won't threaten
Turtle.
me to arrest, but for standing outside now. That's I guess that's progress. No
That was
thanks
the
to Norfolk
funniest
County.
video I ever saw. Was Aiden kind of filming the other day, co-streaming or co-broadcasting when John DePetro was broadcasting outside of the Registry of Deeds. And I'm happy you got down to I guess it was Dedham, or were you in Canton? Were you in Dedham or Canton the other day?
Okay, both actually.
Both. Yeah, good
I
for
did
you.
both.
I'm
Yeah.
going to be coming up soon. One of these
It's funny
days, I'm
because
going to
I've
meet
been
you.
planning on going a lot more. Like I was hoping to do tomorrow and Friday, and then I get one of these calls again, Nan.
No, God, no.
My
But they don't have court
mother-in-law
tomorrow.
broke her hip. I need to walk. I need someone to walk the dog around the clock. Yeah, I've had so many of these recently. It's just can't say no. I'm gonna
No,
help this
you have
dog. We'll
to.
see. We'll see. I may
Everybody,
take a day. I'm gonna tell them though. I need a day off. We'll see on Friday. But let's talk. We're running out of time. I
yeah,
want to throw up a couple more super chats. Less about what I'm
please.
doing. Uh, Here's one. This is for you, Nan. Sarah Berry says, Nan, how do attorneys prep witnesses without saying things that could hurt them on cross-exam questions? Does that impact your ability to get info?
How do they prep witnesses without saying things that could hurt them? Well, I guess the answer to your question, Sarah, is it depends on the type of witness. So, for example, the prepping of Sergeant Barros, the prepping of Lucky, they're neutral fact witnesses that aren't really Karen's witnesses. They're neutral subpoenaed witnesses. So if they were prepping them, you have to kind of just give them this bare bones prep that says you got to tell the truth, you got to withstand any attempt to try to misconstrue your words. You don't step on the attorney's words, listen to what's being asked, answer carefully, be critical in what answers you give. But there's no way to avoid prepping a witness on something that might come back to bite you on cross. Any lawyer is obligated to put a witness on the stand and have that witness be truthful. So if I had a witness who had information that would be harmful to my case, but the good outweighed the bad in what I needed from him, I would simply tell him, I can't really tell you what to say on that subject. But just do your best to tell the truth and we'll handle it as it comes.
came in. Brennan killed, this is from Greg. Brennan killed his own intimidation argument when he got lucky to say he was following Turtle Boy on socials. Who follows their intimidator on socials? What do you think about that?
I
Is
didn't
that
even
true?
think of that too, Greg. Yeah, that's good. Good point, Greg. You would never, although we did say earlier, at least in my opinion, like even if you're ambivalent or you hate somebody, many people still follow Turtle Boy. I doubt someone's going to follow him if they're intimidated by him. It's kind of like the Chris Alberts and some of the McAlberts of the world who say they claim they're intimidated and their feelings are hurt by Aiden, but yet when he has been in front of them, they like physically
Oh, tough
challenge
guys.
him. Yeah, they
Yeah.
challenge him like, I'm going to beat you up. That's
Yeah.
that type of stuff. It's all
They're
BS.
not really afraid of him.
Yeah.
So funny how yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things that when after Karen is acquitted, the focus is going to shift to Aiden's cases. And, there will be supporters of Karen Reed who I think fall off, happily so, go back to their lives, let their blood pressures regulate and settle down. And then there will be some people who are part of the Free Karen Reed movement who pivot their attention to Aiden's cases. I am one of them. And I will say that there will be a time when all comes out in terms of what he has done to advance legally journalism and finding the truth did not in any way intimidate witnesses. So it's going to be a good reckoning in the future for him as well.
Question about Turtle Boy again. The ghost of Brian Higgins' SIM card says since Hank has submitted Turtle Boy's articles that references the federal investigation, can't they now tell the jury who hired Archer?
I keep hitting my mic. I'm a firm believer that yes, the door has been open on the feds. Whether it was, who was it yesterday? Was it
Veruca
Dever-
Salt.
who Mike? Somebody
Veruca
opened
Salt.
Veruca Dever.
Yeah. Kelly Dever. She brought up the fact that she made a report to the FBI complaining about Alan Jackson.
Yeah, that's right. So Kelly Dever, you've got Brennan himself using the term agents. And there was a few others, like when they pop up, I'm like, that piqued my interest. I think there's been several instances where it has come out that the feds have been involved. For what it's worth, I think the door has been opened, ghost of Brian Higgins' SIM card. But in addition to that, even if the door hasn't been opened, I think I'm comfortable, and I don't just think, I'm very comfortable telling you this jury will now understand that it was the feds that hired Arca, even if it can't explicitly be stated, because the feds have been kind of an understudy in the act of this trial. Now they're a character, and the jury's going to kind of understand that whether it's explicitly let into evidence or not. It's not going to be like, oh, well, were they hired by an insurance company? So I feel very comfortable saying they're going to know.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I got two more questions I definitely want to put up here. Here's one we may not know the answer to. I'm trying to remember myself. Deborah asked, Mike, why were people going after Lucky? What did Turtle Boy's articles have to do with people, FKR followers, have to do with, I am totally confused. Thank you. I don't want to go on memory like this because I don't really remember every detail of this, honestly.
You know what?
Do you? I don't even know if you were around back then.
I was around in the chats, but what I will tell you is the best way to find the answer in the most accurate way for you, Deborah, is to tune in to Aiden's show.
Yeah. He's going to be on live tonight. He'll talk about it tonight.
Yeah. Sometimes he'll say he's canceling or something. So I presume he's on at 9:00 this evening. He's going to talk about that. So if, very rarely will I say, you must subscribe and you must watch. You should be watching his program this evening because I'm sure he's going to explain the
And the
answer.
one thing, if I remember anything on this, is that I think Aiden was worried that Lucky was going to whip out, that Lucky would be influenced by the McAlberts, like a lot of If I'm recalling correctly, I think
Yeah.
that's pretty much what it was. I don't think it was a big campaign or like we're going to go after Lucky,
Yeah.
but anytime you got to realize, anytime some of us with a lot of followers say something, there's crazy people out there that just go too far. There are.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. They're crazy, and oftentimes those same crazy people will turn on the like the YouTuber journalists that they've been supporting. So like a lot of times it can come back on us too. We deal with the crazies just as much as the people we're covering. Unfortunately,
Right.
it happens to everybody in this online world now. Like
Well,
if you're in the online world, unfortunately, there are crazy people. And
yeah.
like there was one guy who's in jail right now who went after Aiden, he went after Kevin, he went after me, he went after everybody. You know what I mean? There wasn't a person he didn't go after. He went after Grant Smith Ellis. Like this guy went after everybody. So there are people like that out there.
And I know
Fortunately.
from what I was listening to during the questioning today, it seemed to me that the Lucky's employer somehow got involved. So I'm only piecing together pieces of memory and making some assumptions. But I have a feeling when Aiden became aware of Lucky and the existence of him through his reporting, etc., there was probably attention paid to Lucky. And I'm not saying bad attention, but Aiden has a large following. So perhaps there was the employer became aware. Maybe his job was threatened, not by Aiden or any supporter of Free Karen Reed or anything of the like, but just with this barrage of attention. But I'd be speculating. I think everyone should tune in to Aiden tonight because it sure sounds like he's going to want to talk about what went down today. And this would be a good
Everyone.
one to catch.
Here's the big one that I want to ask because this keeps coming up. We talked about it today with the randomizer. It's a
Yeah.
very similar issue with the picking of the jury. Can the defense team demand to oversee every aspect of picking alternate jurors?
Yes. Yes. The answer to that is yes. If it is within the judge's discretion to to deny that request, and as you see, sometimes she denies requests. But with that said, yes, they can demand it. If she denies it, I would say it's a grounds for appeal if Karen were convicted thereafter. But yes, I think they don't even need to demand it. I think it would be very reasonable to just have a letter submitted to the judge saying we want to see the selection of the alternate jurors, especially in light of the fact that the oversight of the jury was questioned in the motion to dismiss all of the charges based on extraordinary governmental misconduct that was argued in March. So I have a feeling there's going to be transparency on this. That's just my hunch.
So
I think there will be.
I can't deal with the appearance of them not giving a shit and letting people go crazy again. I just can't. Like they have to actually. Oh, I hope they deal with that. They better. Here's another quick question. Jared Scott says the defense needs to bring up. This is what I was saying the other night too. This is what I've felt for a while. The defense needs to bring up the FBI. Both parties keep saying agents and other agency. For all we know, the jury thinks the FBI were the ones investigating Karen and
Yes.
not the investigation. That's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid that the jury is now going to think, oh, they must have been investing Aiden, Carney, Turtle Boy, and Karen, the FBI, when in reality, we know it was the opposite of that. So,
Yeah, I agree. Now, I've thought of that, and I agree with you, Jared Scott. I don't know how the defense team is going to get Judge Canoni to buy into it. She seems pretty steadfast that she's not going to let it in. However, she's let it in throughout this trial, as we kind of discussed throughout this evening. So it's kind of like opening the door. The door has been opened. She, meaning Judge Canoni, has kind of waived any right, as far as I'm concerned, and I'm pontificating a little bit, but this is what I would put in my argument. the judges kind of waived any right to say, no, the feds don't come into this trial, because she let them in. She allowed the attorneys to, and it was really Hank, but she allowed the attorneys and or witnesses to bring up the existence of agents or other investigating bodies that were clearly the federal agents, et cetera, or the FBI. You had Dever, by the way, was also, I thought it was interesting, and I know we're coming to a close, Mike, but I thought it was very interesting that Dever testified, oh, I spoke to their legal team and they said it's all right, that like I had this false memory, et cetera. I did this in good faith. I said this the other night. The Department of Justice is the legal team for the FBI. The Department of Justice is a bunch of hard asses. And if Department of Justice, if you're watching, I meant that as a compliment. Like, they're a bunch of hard asses. They're not going to be like, oh, sure, no problem. You had a false memory. You didn't intend to lie to us or to the FBI. It's all good. You're fine. They don't do that. So Dever has brought up the feds. Today, we had the mention of agents by Brennan. My opinion, Judge Cannoni should allow some type of balanced discussion or a curative jury instruction to the jury, explaining to them that the feds were investigating not the defendant, but other parties to this matter. Never going to happen, by the way, but
I know. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
I want to thank you for being here. I know we have a kind of a firm 7 p.m. cutoff with you tonight. So
yeah, normally I love to chat with you for hours, Mike, but I gotta pack. I got some business to do. But if there's any free Karen readers in the St. Louis area, reach out to me. Gonna be there on business.
Should be in St. Louis. Make sure you follow Nan on Twitter X. We got the pinned in the chat on Laferio. You're also on, I know, Facebook. You got the Facebook page.
Yeah.
What are some other where can people follow you, Nan?
It's always on social media. But if you look on X, like my Facebook page, it's called Laferio. There's a link to it. I'm on X under Laferio. I'm usually posting, like, I have this kind of channel on YouTube where I don't stream, but I try to post when I'm going to stream as a guest for some of you all. So that's a good place to look. That's the Laferio channel. Nobody expects streams from me. It's not going to happen. And then always happy to be invited as a guest if you guys are ever interested. And to all you trolls who are hate watching right now, I have 2 things to say to you. I'm not invited on shows because I make donations to them. And also, and most importantly, if you're feeling generous, trolls, please consider donating. Yes, I said donating to the Mike Crawford Defense Fund.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I hope some trolls send some money in. Even if it's $2 to send me a nasty message, please.
Maybe they'll donate with food stamps, Mike. You never know. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Can I get a lobster roll with food stamps? Is that?
Ooh, I was telling someone yesterday I am craving a lobster roll, so I'm going to be up in the Canton area very, very soon.
Oh,
and anyone wants to show me where to buy one in that area, I would be more than grateful. So
fried clams. Let us know. Maybe we'll make up some plans. Lobster roll, fried clams. I'm in.
That sounds good to me. And well, by the way, I think I'm streaming with Mazza late afternoon Sunday after I get back. I think he's doing some fundraiser, but that's all I know. So to everybody, I hope you have a great evening. And if you need anything, I can be found on the mean, cold streets of social media.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Laferio. Follow her at Laferio on Twitter, X, Facebook. Thank you so much, Attorney Nan Gallagher. It's always fun to have you on the show.
Thanks, Mike.
I'm looking forward to the next one. Thank you so much.
Good night. Bye.
Looking forward to seeing you back in Canton.
Take care.
She's that was great. I want to thank her so much. Quick 90 minutes. A lot of questions came in. I'm going to try to answer some of them. I got some more pinned here. I couldn't get to them all. all the super chats too. I want to thank everyone who's sending in the super chats. I hope we get the volume. I've noticed that too. Someone said earlier my volume's always way loud at the beginning of the show. Other people would say it was too low. I got this new mic and I'm trying to get it dialed in. StreamYard doesn't really give you an option to get any feedback on your levels. The only way to really do it is go live and then have people tell you what's going on. You know, it's kind of a weird system, but it is what it is. Hopefully the sound got better, and I just want to keep lock it in and keep it the same always, but you kind of have to adjust to your guests too. So thank you for helping out with that. Let me read some of these. The ones I didn't get up tonight. I want to thank Please Pass the Pepper. I want to thank Norman, who noted that Lucky did add reflective tape to his truck, so that's how he knew that it wasn't his vehicle. I'm just going through some of the super chats and even some of the other questions I started tonight. I just want to bring up a couple, play a little video tonight. I'm going to redirect you in a little bit to Jess Shadow and Brian from LTL. They'll be on at 8 p.m. and I'm pretty sure Turtle Boy will be on at 9 p.m. tonight. Make sure you check those out. I'll be in the chats. I like this one. This one I want to put up. Golden says there was a GoFundMe for Lucky last year, and he refused the money. So one of his fans, one of his supporters, created a GoFundMe for him last year, and he refused it. This guy did not want the spotlight. He refused the GoFundMe money, and everyone got their donations back. Great. I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you so much, Golden. And that's the way Lucky has been the whole time. He's a guy who's not looking for the spotlight. He's done the opposite of that, actually. The only picture they could find of him doing that, they put it up on the screen today to make it look like that. It's like that's all you're going to find is that one picture. This is a good question. I wish we would have had a little more time, Julie, to ask Nan this, but I'll answer it. Why do you think the defense doesn't call Higgins, Albert, etc., and just ask, did you see John O'Keefe in the snow when you left? Ask about butt dials and sit down. Uh, we can't cross on more, right? Commonwealth can't cross on more. Well, I think it's multifaceted. Number one, uh, I think there is something going on with Higgins. That's all I'm gonna say. Like I can't confirm it, that I would not doubt it. It seems something there's a lot of indication that he may have some health issues. So that could be the Albert issue. Um, the Higgins issue. Excuse me, I misspoke. Could be the Higgins issue. Um, but I also think it's better for them beyond even having him cross. Worried about that factor. I also think it's better that the boogie, the boogeyman that you can't see. I think Albert, he is a little scary, but he dresses up well. Like I don't know. I think and I think we won't really know until after the trial, and especially if Karen is acquitted, then we'll hear much more about that. I think so. We'll see. We shall see. And I think we did kind of answer that question tonight, anyways, because we did kind of discuss that. Thank you so much, Julie. It's kind of a big question. It's something we've been talking about for days here with Betterow, and you know how Betterow feels. Betterow feels like they should call Proctor. I feel like that too. But I'm not a criminal defense attorney. I'm not a trial lawyer. That's why I do defer to Betterow a lot. Listen to what he has to say, and he thinks they should call him. But there's some trial lawyers who are giving Karen, obviously, some advice probably not to do it. This is a great point, Mindy. She said that's exactly what Hank is doing. And if Lucky is a witness and he isn't seeing these things and his friends are sending him stuff, isn't that witness intimidation? I know, right, Mindy? I mean, it's kind of funny how everything they say, like that Turtle Boy and Turtle Riders are doing, you could point back at them and say, you're doing the same exact thing, you know? I mean, how many times have I been threatened this year? It's not coming from turtle riders. We know that, right? So it's always funny. It's a lot of projection. It feels like a lot of projection. And I always put it down to this. If anyone's on the fence about this, who would you be more afraid of? Men with guns or a guy with a pen? You know? I'm more afraid of the guys with guns and badges than I am anyone typing a blog. I'm so even Turtle Boy. I know as good as he is at being a blogger and getting people riled up and interested in his content, I'm still much more afraid of the state with their guns and their badges, and I always will be. Because a guy with a blog, I can ignore that. Guys with guns and badges coming to my house to arrest me, I can't ignore that. Do you know what I'm saying? A normal, well-adjusted person can ignore someone writing shit on the internet about them. You can't ignore guys with guns and badges knocking at your door threatening you. You can't ignore all your neighbors upset at you because you didn't go along with the local establishment, right? So I think they project a lot. Great comment, Mindy. Thank you. Thanks Z for the 199. I think it's a pound. I always get that one mixed up. Julie Albert's response to John O'Keefe texting Turtle Boy blog. Thank you so much, Z. This is one I wanted to ask her tonight. Chrissy Bacon, I didn't get it up in time. $10. She says, I'm willing to bet Hank gets a kicker with a conviction. I don't know if that's legal, but I wouldn't doubt it. Like, I don't trust. I think you might be onto something, Chrissy. I mean, think about it. I also think he gets more the longer it goes. I'm almost surprised he didn't bring out all the witnesses because it would have been more money for him, right? I don't know, Chrissy. I feel like I think the kicker, even beyond the money for him, is if he wins this case, he's gonna if Brennan gets the conviction, then he's a big star in the media. He's a big star in the local establishment. All the court officers are behind him. All the DAs are behind him. He probably Morrissey's going to endorse him for DA of Norfolk County if he wants it, right? So I think that's really what it is for Hank Brennan. He's going to get more money in billing in terms of, clients. If he wins this case, he's going to be a big hero. He's going to make a lot of money. He's probably going to get a book deal. He'll probably do a tour. Probably be on Good Morning America. So I think even if they're not paying him a kicker like you believe, which I'm not sure. I don't think they are, but you never know. I don't put anything by Norfolk County, especially DA Morrissey could do anything. But there's a lot of incentive for his career and his financial to get a conviction at this point. Everything's on the line for him. He really needs it. Thank you for the super chat, Chrissy. Yes, this was the cross. I believe I did hear a little bit of that today. How dare you, who's been a member for 10 months, says, Mike, thank you for platforming introducing many. Thank you so much. I love it. I'm glad that I've been able to do that so many times over the years, and especially over the last couple of years. There's been quite a few people. Nan said it the other night. I was the first one to bring her on a show. There were some other people. What she didn't say is there were some other people already interested in booking her on their shows at that time as well. But I was, one of the first to recognize that she was going to be a great guest on these different shows. Obviously, people have noted that I was the first one to get Bettero heavily involved in Free Karen Reed. He probably did about 10 interviews with me before any other YouTuber figured it out. Now he's on quite a bit of other shows, which we love. There's also, like John Como said the other night, I was the first one to platform him on this, and he's got his own show as well. I love doing that. I love helping people out, and especially the other creators and YouTubers like Bianca, 3Ms. I got to get her back up. She's phenomenal. I hope people are following her. I just checked out her. She's done some great work on Kelly Deaver. We got to get her back up here. But I love doing that. I love, supporting the other YouTubers and creators and artists. It used to be a lot of music artists. I used to support quite a few music artists with shows and events and interviews and things like that, and different activists and advocates. I just like doing that. It's like fun for me. So thank you for noticing. Thank you so much. Be a Barros Truth Daddy, Ren. Hit that like button, jerks. Love you, Mike and Nan. And also, I got to mention, thank you so much. Glamassus noted it tonight. Congrats on 50,000. We passed 50,000 subs last night on YouTube. I just never thought that would happen. I think we're at like 52 now or something. We're already like, you guys are amazing. It just keeps going up. And I never thought that would happen. And never thought I would have 50,000 subs just on YouTube. Never mind Facebook, Twitter, all those other places. We're moving up big time. And I think we're pretty close probably to 20,000 on our Twitter. We got quite a few on the Facebook page, over 10. So it's definitely growing. Thank you, Gina. Gina Gomez sent $10 and says free Michael Crawford equals FMC. 100 FMC. Thank you so much, Gina. That's amazing. Gina Gomez. I always loved the name Gina. I gotta say, when I was in junior high, I asked a girl to a junior high dance, and she said yes, and her name was Gina. Nah, I love it. I'm still friends with her on Facebook. Nice lady. So I'm always partial to Gina's. That was like, your first crush type deal, And she said yes. I don't even think we did. All we did was dance. I don't even think we ever like kissed or anything. Junior high. We slow danced a couple times. Misty and Eddie, member for 11 months, says Brennan is dirty. He knows the truth. Thank you so much, Misty and Eddie. Member for 11 months. I love it. Please pass the pepper. Says you're a better woman than me, Nan. Trolls. Says $1.99. Nan is a better woman than me. Brenda S. sent $15 and says, I want lottery data so I can analyze and create visuals. Don't want contact with courthouse thugs. Who applied? Got it. Week by week. Thanks. You're a resident data nerd, but definitely cooler than head garb chick. Brenda S. says, you should check with Jess Machado. Jess Machado show on Twitter. There's some other people who've done some analyzing it, some of those numbers on Twitter. But if you're interested in that, definitely hit up Jess Machado show. Thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Rockshaw, who said $4.99. Says in the Chirk trial in the same courthouse, they showed all balls to attorney before going in barrel and showed balls for alternates that were picked. I know, right? I mean, this isn't hard. I mean, I can remember in the 70s, we're watching the lottery do this. Do you remember Candlepins for Cash? Do you remember like Wheel of Fortune? Like, this is not complicated. This is stuff that we were able to do even before the internet, before technology. We were able to handle this. Like a court in 2025 that can't handle a simple drawing and be transparent about it. Come on. If you're having a problem, I'll volunteer. I'll do it for you. I'll do it the old school way. You know how old school? I've done raffles before. For like nonprofit organizations. We'd even have meetings, and basically, I'd do it with a piece of paper. Just write everyone's name on the piece of paper and draw them out of a hat and let everyone see it. I mean, I could do it that old school and be transparent. This is not hard. You don't even need a computer to do it. You can do it with a piece of paper. Put it in a hat. Come on. Not hard. So thank you so much, Rockshaw. Yeah, it's like they don't care. They just don't give a shit. All they want to do is they get this former retired judge who got up and he attacked this wacky yaki guy. He got there and he's like, how dare you question the courts on this, the integrity. It's like the court does it to itself. It's very easy to acknowledge that there's an issue here, that people are questioning your credibility in the courthouse. Do something about it. Do the reasonable thing. Let people see it so they trust it. I want to trust the court. I don't want to be accusing the court of fixing things for journalists and jurors, but that's what we see. And we see that not every court is the same. In the same courtroom with a different judge, they do it differently. Isn't that strange? Great comment. I love that comment. Thank you so much, Rock Shaw. Rock Shaw. I want to say Rock Show. Rock Shaw. Thank you, Rock Shaw. That is such a good comment. In the same courthouse, they can do it. They can do it. They've done it before. Maybe they should go. Maybe whoever Judge Canone is using as a clerk in the courthouse can go talk to the person who ran the Turk trial and say, "Hey, how did you do that?" and not have anyone complain. Because apparently someone in that courthouse knows how to actually do it transparently. So why don't you find out? And why don't the journalists that are embedded go ask? Say, hey, how come this isn't being transparent? Like, it needs to be transparent. Both the press, the way they pick the press people to stand in the courtroom, and the jurors especially. Lisa asks, thank you so much for sending $10 super sticker tonight. Oh man, this is another question I want to ask tonight, but I know the answer to this. Smurf Paint sent $10 and says, if God forbid there is trial 3.0, what's the likelihood of getting Bev off the case? Do they have enough legal argument? No. I mean, unless they could prove she did something that's way beyond the pale, she's going to have every right to do the retrial. Now, whether she will, that's going to be her personal choice, right? And maybe she decides to retire. Who knows, right? Maybe she decides she doesn't want to do a third retrial. But if there is a retrial, I would not. I would expect it. I would expect it. But you never know. But I don't think there's going to be too much the defense can do, unfortunately, on this. Beth Loudon sends $5. When corruption is present in any case, is the prosecutor most always involved, or are there cases where they aren't and just believe in the bullshit evidence? That's a good question. Um, Beth, it's both. I mean, I definitely think there are cases where the prosecution is involved. I also think there's instances where it's like just like what you said, they want to believe it, and there's a certain point where they get some differing information and they have a choice, and sometimes they do go along with it because, you know, if you're if you flip flop on this right now and you're Brennan, you know how much shit he's gonna get from certain quarters. If you watch trial, everyone should watch Trial 4. It's one of the best documentaries about the Ellis case. He got tried 3 times. They were going on the 4th trial, and they finally dismissed the charges. And you'll see that those prosecutors, some of those prosecutors weren't bad people, but they were defending indefensible. You know what I'm saying? And at a certain point on the 4th retrial, they decided enough is enough. So it can be either way. Both situations can happen, definitely. And I feel like they do. And the thing about this situation is what Better was saying. We're starting to see evidence that someone like Lally probably knew about Barros. He knew what Barros was going to say. We have, watching Brennan when he didn't ask Shannon Burgess about his resume and about his educational background. He knew. That's evidence to me that both of these prosecutors know things that they're not sharing with the defense. That's shady. That is shady. Great comment. Great question, Beth. Thank you. Lally Sudoku, please comment on the denial of the defense motion procedural expert. In my honest opinion, it's unconstitutional, and how Bev announced it was very disrespectful. I know. That was pretty bad. She is very disrespectful. Yeah, she didn't even tell him why. But you kind of knew that was happening. You knew she wasn't going to let Michael Easter in. I think it's unconstitutional, especially after what we've seen the last few weeks. I would have loved that. That was the expert I was looking most forward to, Michael Easter. And I have an email with Michael Easter. I sent him an email inviting him on the show. If we get Karen Reed is innocent, not guilty verdict, he's going to be coming on our show. As soon as that's up, I'm gonna hit him up again and invite him on our show. So I'd love to hear what Michael Easter actually has to say. That's going to be the fun thing. Is some of these witnesses are going to be probably coming on different shows. You're going to have family members. You're going to have maybe the jurors again. It's going to be some fun after the hopefully acquittal happens in terms of who goes on what shows and watching all the new content. Love to see Karen on some of these YouTube shows. That would be fun too, and her family. Seuss at 499 says, I think they're goading the jury to look up Turtle Boy, Higgins, and Proctor. Geez, I would ask Sue, why do you think they are? I mean, that's a good point. They probably are in a way. Maybe because they want to discredit some jurors and kick them off. I mean, maybe that's why. Could that be it? I don't know. Because it doesn't seem like a wise thing to have people look up Turtle Boy. Because I think most people who look up Turtle Boy in his blogs, about 90% after they read Turtle Boy are going to be convinced that Karen Reed is innocent. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think that it really helps the prosecution unless they're looking at for ways to kick people off the jury. So I think that's the only way that works for them. So I don't think that's their intent, but I think that Nan mentioned that tonight. Like, probably not a good idea to direct people to Turtle Boy if you're Hank Brennan. It's probably kind of a mistake, actually. And not that we think that jurors are going to go look at Turtle Boy, but probably one of them will. That's human nature, right? All right, we answered this one earlier. I did. Thank you so much, Julie. Did I get this one up? On She says, Nan, thoughts on AJ in closing, pounding home reasonable doubt and explaining count two. If Karen Reed is not guilty for number 1 and 3, it's not guilty for number 2. And Nan, you never an outsider to us. You're one of us. Oh, thank you, Aunt BB, too. I wish I could have read that with her here, but unfortunately, she did have a firm 90 minutes tonight, and there were a lot of super chats that came in. Thank you so much, Aunt BB, too. I think you make a great point. Hopefully, there's so much we want him to bring up in the closing, whether it's Jackson or somebody else. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Jackson, if it's not Yannetti or Lessie. But I think the big thing that we have to always consider on the closing is 1 hour, and that's what sucks. It just really sucks to know that they only have an hour. That's just not fair. Great point, though. I really appreciate your comment on BB2. Charicity says missing witness lets defense bring up how the Commonwealth didn't call key witnesses to the case and infer this is because it's not good for them. I know that's their answer. I think to one of the other super chats comments that we questions earlier. It's not only does Proctor look like the boogeyman they don't know, but they get to bring it up that the prosecution, the Hank Brennan, didn't bring up the witnesses and that they were afraid. So I think that there's a lot of strategy being played here. And I think a lot of times in situations like this, there's no right answer to call Proctor or not to call Proctor. Who knows, right? We don't. That's the problem. You just don't know. You just don't know how it's going to turn out. You don't know. It's too many variables. You don't know what the jury's thinking. And just like I don't know what the defense is thinking here behind the scenes. But I think you make a great point. This is what it's going to be about in the end. And that I think it just makes it a safer call because they know what they can say to the jury in the end, right? They could say, hey, Hank Brennan was afraid to call up his chief investigator. I mean, that's like money in the bank again. I know it's funny because Bettero kept saying, Proctor can't hurt you. It's all money in the bank, so do it. But so does not calling him in a way. It's money in the bank to say, hey, Hank Brennan was afraid to call his chief investigator. Brunette, Pam Bondi's false memory, sets $5. Says, my understanding, it instructs the jury they can draw a negative inference that the Commonwealth didn't call them. That's exactly it. Yes. And that's money in the bank, right? So why not just do it? Be a Barros Truth Daddy Ren says, hit that like button, jerks. Love you, Mike and Dan. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, Ren. I love your new Be a Hero, Barros Truth Daddy. He really was a hero yesterday. I love Barros. We got to make him Canton police chief. They're looking for a police chief in Canton. He'd be the perfect guy. John Como posted that. Gary Titus posted it. A lot of Canton folks they want to see Barros apply for the police chief. How's dear you? Says Mike. Thank you for being. I already read this one. Thank you so much. I think I read all those. Thank you so much. All right, I got one more. One more new one came in. We are just one. It says calling people power. Join us Thursday, June 12th, 2 to 4 p.m. at Norfolk DA's office in Canton, 45 Shawmut Road. Stronger together standout. We demand Morrissey resign. We just talked about that the other night with Mizzy. When the 2 shows ago with Bettero, it was Bettero, and then we had Mizzy and Mazza. We just talked about that standout that's coming up. I hope everyone shows up. It's on a Thursday, June 12th, 2 to 4 p.m. It's going to be in Canton, Norfolk DA's office. It might even be extended to 5 p.m., Mizzy said. But right now it's scheduled tentatively 2 to 4 p.m. It's going to be a half day of court. It's the next half day of court. So I hope people show up. Should be a big turnout. It's going to be for Enrique, Sandra Birchmore, Karen Reed, Justin Root. So some of the family members are going to be there as well. So I hope a lot of people show up for that Thursday. Week from Thursday. Week from tomorrow. Thank you so much. That's a good super chat to put up on the screen. I love it. Thank you. We are just one. I hope everyone shows up for that. Bring your signs. Bring your people. You know what? 7:34. I'm gonna stay live. I think until 8 because I do want to redirect to the LTL show tonight, and I'm definitely gonna play a little bit of the retrial, some of the testimony from today, just a little bit. Um, Give us a link to call into that standout. I don't think there's a link yet. You know what I'll do? I'll put up what's even better if I think I still have it. Hold on one second. I got this? Here it is. This is it. This is all they have out right now. Let me put it on the screen. Hold on. There it is. That's the link. It's a flyer. Just show up. You don't need a link. I'm sure there will be probably some type of event thing on Facebook or something like that eventually. But right now it's just a flyer and everyone's just encouraged to show up. Thursday, June 12th, 2 to 4 p.m. Before I get into the video, I'm just going to check the Venmo action. I know I saw some Venmo come in today. I believe it was today. Uh, this was, I think I did read this one. Yeah, that was from Kelly the other day. I guess I didn't, I thought I had Venmo come in today. Maybe it was the other one. Hold on, let me check. It was Cash App. I had a Cash App from Gary Titus. He's a local legend, DJ Gary Titus. He says, "Hi, Mike and Dan. Lucky beat Hank at his own game. You must be very proud, Gary. Gary is a Canton guy, and he's friends with a. It's funny because Gary's another one like Lucky. He was friends with a lot of these big Alberts. He doesn't want to be in this situation, but sometimes you got to do the right thing, you know. And it's uncomfortable. And it's like Lucky, you know. And I think Gary, like Lucky, has probably felt a little bit uncomfortable, right? Like a lot of. Talk to Rita. Talk to Rita Lombardi about that. Let's bring up Lucky.
So you're gonna step up, face the clerk, and raise your right hand.
This guy's a hero.
You tell us the evidence given to the court and jury in the case down here, and the truth, the whole truth.
And I did when I was in Canton recently. I did run into a. I'm not sure how I'm going to say this. I'll say somebody that is close to Lucky. It's funny. I'm walking down the street, and all of a sudden, beep 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 beep. The car's beeping, and they're looking out. They're leaning out the window. Mike, come! I watch your show. Come see me. And they're basically a loved one of Lucky. And they said to me, "When this is over, Mike, I'm going to get Lucky to come on your show." They also said they're going to go on LTL. So apparently, we got a loved one who's going to try to get us Lucky on the show. Eventually, you'll probably see Lucky, maybe on some of the shows, if Lucky will go along with it. That's the thing, because I don't think Lucky really wants the spotlight, you know. But you may see him because he's a good guy. So I'm hoping. Let's. I want to have Lucky on the show. Let's hope. I'm just looking forward to. Hopefully, Karen Reed gets acquitted, and we get some of the folks like Lucky on some of these shows, and we get to have to thank them, to thank Barros, to thank Lucky, thank these brave people who actually did the right thing and stood up. I'm looking forward to that. Whether it's my show, LTL, Turtle Boy, whoever shows he goes on, if he does it. Because I have a feeling Lucky's not a guy who wants the spotlight. He's a DPW worker. He doesn't want the spotlight.
Nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Good morning.
Good morning.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes.
Good morning, sir. In a good loud voice, would you please state your name and spell your last name?
Sure, it's Brian Loughran, Loughran.
In what town do you live, sir?
I live in Canton.
Where did you grow up?
In Canton,
How long have you lived in Canton?
all my life.
Did you attend Canton Public Schools?
Yes, I did.
Through which grade?
I graduated from Canton High School,
What year did you graduate?
1990.
Do you have brothers and sisters?
Yes,
How many?
I have two brothers, one sister.
What are their names?
Christopher, Michelle, and Michael.
And where do you fit in the order?
I fit in between Michelle and Michael.
You're the second youngest.
Correct.
How old is your brother Michael?
Michael is 53.
What does he do for work?
He owns his own driving school, and he was a member of the select board.
And you say he owns his own driving school. In which town?
Canton,
And you mentioned that he's a member of the select board for which town?
town of Canton.
And what is the select board in Canton?
It's the governing body for the town.
Having grown up in Canton, are you familiar with the Albert brothers?
Yes, I am.
Which ones?
All of them.
Can you name them?
Brian, Chris, Brendan, Keith, Kevin, and Tim.
Of those Albert brothers, whom do you know the best?
Chris,
How close in age are Chris and you?
very close. I believe I'm 2 years older than Chris.
How did you become familiar with Chris?
I went to elementary school, I went to middle school, and then he graduated from a different high school.
Was there any other relationship between the two of you beyond being classmates?
Yes, eventually I ended up working for Chris, delivering pizzas.
How old were you approximately when you started delivering pizzas for Chris Albert?
About 26.
Do you remember the name of his pizza establishment?
Yes, D&E Pizza,
Where is that located?
Canton Center.
How many years did you deliver pizzas for D&E Pizza and Chris Albert?
About 8 years.
Prior to January 29th of 2022, were you friendly with Chris Albert?
Yes,
You previously mentioned that your brother Michael is a town selectman. What political office does Chris Albert hold?
Chris Albert is also a select board member.
And Chris Albert is Brian Albert's brother, obviously.
Yes,
So your brother and Brian Albert's brother are both town selectmen together.
correct.
How did you become familiar with Kevin Albert?
Through D&E Pizza and
And I'm
interact.
sorry, you said through D&E Pizza?
Yes. And interactions with the DPW doing details and stuff.
Okay. First, with regard to D&E Pizza, you said there were interactions with Kevin Albert relating to that pizza shop. What type of interactions?
He would come in, I'd be, friendly, I'd say hello, or there'd be deliveries to the Albert residents, and I would, make those deliveries.
You mentioned the DPW. I didn't ask you what you did for work, sir. What do you do?
I work for the DPW, I work in the Highway Division.
And the DPW stands for Department of Public Works?
Yes,
For which town?
town of Canton.
And what are your duties, or strike that, around January and late January of 2022, what were your duties for the DPW?
I would plow.
And how long had you worked, or to this day, how long have you worked for the DPW?
20 years.
Now, as a DPW employee, how much contact do you have with the police department?
We have varying jobs that require police details.
So
We
you're
would-
doing work, and there has to be a police officer there to oversee and direct traffic and things of that nature?
Correct.
How often have you worked in that capacity with Kevin Albert from the Canton Police Department?
About a dozen times.
And what was the nature of your relationship with Kevin Albert before January 29th of 2022?
Through D&E Pizza, I would, the Alberts usually had family functions on a weekend, and I would make deliveries.
Can these last few jurors hear the witness? I just want to make sure everybody can hear. Okay. Now, how did you become familiar with Brian Albert?
Again, through D&E Pizzas and deliveries
Deliveries where?
to his residence.
Do you know what his residence is or what the address is?
I do.
What is it?
34 Fairview Drive.
What was your understanding of what Brian Albert did for a living?
My understanding, he was a police officer for the city of Boston.
Now, you say that you made deliveries to 34 Fairview Road. How often, and was there a particular day of the week that you delivered more than others?
It's usually once a week, and it was usually on Sundays.
And that was to 34 Fairview Road?
Correct.
As of January of 2022, how many decades had the Albert family lived at that address, if you know?
As far as I couldn't give you a year, but I know as long as I've been in Canton, they've lived at that residence.
All right, now directing your attention to January 28th and 29th of 2022, were you on duty as a snowplow driver that night and early morning?
Yes.
When did you learn that you would be on duty?
Early January 28th, we were notified that we had a 2:30 start time.
And that would be 2:30 a.m.
A.M.
on January 29th?
Yes.
How did you learn that you would be on duty?
Our supervisors for the DPW would notify us.
Who was your supervisor?
William Walsh.
And what instructions were you given in terms of when you were to report?
We were to report at 2:30 in the morning and prepare our trucks for plowing.
What time did you actually get to the DPW that morning?
I got there about 2:15.
And when you say you got there, where did you go?
160 Bolivar Street.
And is that Bolivar?
Yes.
What is 160 Bolivar Street?
It is the DPW garage.
And when you go there, is there a requirement that you punch in?
Yes.
Did you punch in those early morning hours?
Yes.
Who was there when you got there?
Other DPW employees and William Walsh.
William Walsh being your supervisor?
Yes.
Were you assigned a specific route those early morning hours?
Yes.
What route was that?
Route 11.
What streets does Route 11 encompass?
Route 11 encompasses Cedar Crest from Dedham Street to the end. It encompasses everything from Kings Road to Chapman Street.
And streets in between as well?
Yes.
And what street is in between Cedar Crest and Chapman?
There will be Spring Lane and Fairview.
What truck or snowplow were you assigned in those early morning hours?
I was assigned Truck 30.
And does that have a particular nickname?
Yes, it's considered a Franken truck.
You said Franken truck,
Yes.
like Frankenstein.
Yes.
Why was it nicknamed Franken truck?
It was a very uncomfortable truck, and it had a lot of mismatch of parts to make it more convenient for the drivers.
I'd like to show you some photos, sir. If I may, please.
Okay.
Mr. Loughran, I've placed 4 photographs in front of you. If you could just familiarize yourself with them and look up at me when you're done. Do you recognize what is depicted in those photos?
Yes, I do.
And did you take those photos
I did.
at my request?
Yes.
What do those photos depict?
They depict the inside of Truck 30 or Franken truck.
And is there one that actually depicts the outside from the front as well?
Yes.
Do
Yes.
those photos fairly and accurately depict Frankentruck as it looked on or about January 29th of 2022?
Yes.
I would offer those, Your Honor.
I have no objections to any of the photos.
All right, thank you.
Perhaps they could be marked with the next exhibit number A through D.
Yes. And once that's done, you can feel free to publish.
Thank you very much.
Exhibits 211A through 211D.
Thank you. And with the court's permission, Mr. Wolk, if you would publish them one at a time in the order we discussed. I imagine that is 211A, Madam Court Reporter?
Ms. Gianetti, why don't you take the photos so you'll know what
Oh.
they are?
Great idea. Okay, could you explain what 211A depicts for this jury?
That is the front of Truck 30, Franken truck, and it's depicting the 2 mirrors on the right and left side of the fenders.
Okay. What about the next one, please, Mr. Wolf? Can you identify, this is 211B, sir.
Yes, that's the inside of the Franken truck looking out the windshield.
As if you were seated in the driver's seat?
Correct.
Next photo, please. This is 211C. What does this depict?
This is depicting on the range that I would see seated in the front seat, looking out the windshield, and depicting how much I'll be able to see.
Okay, and this would be more toward the left side in front of you as you're seated in the driver's seat?
Correct.
All right, next photo, please. This is 211D. Could you explain this to the jury?
Again, I'm sitting in the front seat of the Franken truck, and I'm taking a picture out the right side of the windshield, again, depicting on how much I can see out it.
Thank you. Okay, we can take those down and put the lights on. Okay, so you previously testified that you got to the garage about 2:15 a.m. on January 29th. Could you explain to the jury, what do you do when you get there at 2:15 a.m.?
So at 2:15, we do a simple circle check to make sure that there are no defects with the truck. We go ahead and we make sure it has plenty of diesel. And then I put, any supplies that I may have for the night, planning on an overnight shift. And then I get in the truck and I proceed to my route.
And what type of supplies are you talking about, sir?
Any types of drinks, food, anything, snacks.
Preparing for a long night?
Yes.
The circle check, does that mean what it sounds like, where you sort of take a circle around the vehicle?
Yes, we're trying to make sure that the truck is safe, that there is no defects that would hinder the job ahead of it of being able to plow.
And when you did the circle check in those early morning hours, was there anything unusual that you found?
None.
Were you comfortable driving the snowplow that night?
Yes.
And you mentioned that you make sure it's filled with diesel fuel so you're good for the night.
Correct.
Now, what lighting is there on the truck facing outward?
I have 4 lights. I have the initial headlights, and then I have 2 plow lights that are on either side of the fenders.
And
then I have marking lights, and then I have work lights in the back for the sander.
Okay. If you recall the one photo that showed the truck from the outside, were the 2 plow lights visible in that photo?
Yes, they were.
Were the headlights visible in that photo?
Yes, they were.
Could we display that one more time, Your Honor, to have him point that out? Is there a pointer there, sir?
No, there is not.
Okay. Could you describe on 211A where those plow lights are?
Plow lights are just above the grill on the right side and left side.
Okay. And would it be fair to say the plow lights appear to be a clear lens and then an orange lens on either side?
Yes.
And the headlights, sir, where are those located?
They are to the right and left of the grill, and they're underneath.
Okay. And those are located just to the right of the grill in terms of as we're looking at 211A?
Yes.
Okay. We can take that down and put the lights back on? Now, do you recall whether or not, strike that. You also mentioned marking lights. Where are those?
Marking lights are on the top of my truck, along with the beacon light on top of the truck.
And what is a beacon light?
Beacon light is exactly what it looks like. It's a light that just illuminates and it goes around in circles.
And the marking lights, what do they do?
They're similar to driving without your headlights. They're just there to mark the truck so that it's more visible for residents who may be driving and not paying attention.
And where does the lighting face those marking lights?
Front.
Okay, so in terms of the light that strictly goes toward the front, you have marking lights, plow lights, and headlights, correct?
Correct.
Do you recall whether, when you did your circle check, you checked out whether those lights were all working?
Correct.
And were they working?
Yes.
When all of those lights are on, how bright is it in front of your truck?
Extremely bright, almost as if I had a spotlight.
And that's facing straight out.
Correct.
What about facing diagonally out front?
Again, as far as the lights will illuminate.
And then on either side, directly out to the side, how far can you see?
About 5-6 feet.
Okay. So you see more when you're looking straight out and then diagonally out, correct?
Correct.
You can see farther?
Correct.
Now, how about in terms of you being situated in the vehicle? How high up is the driver's seat?
Driver's seat is an air ride seat, so it can adjust accordingly.
What is an air ride seat?
It is adjusted by air, and it can go up or down depending on the driver's.
And how long did it take you to do the circle check, to put your snacks in the car and water, and to make sure the car or the truck is filled with diesel fuel?
About 5 minutes.
All right, so if you get there at 2:15, is it fair to say that you're ready to go on the road somewhere around 2:20 or 2:25 a.m.?
Correct.
And when you did start to go out on the road at around that time, how was the seat adjusted?
I adjusted the seat up so that my knees would hit the bottom of the steering wheel.
How big is that steering wheel on the truck?
It's fairly large. It's larger than a regular passenger vehicle. It's very large.
As of January 29th of 2022, were there any obstructions on any part of the windshield that would prevent you from having a clear view in any direction through the windshield?
No.
Once you got into that truck in those early morning hours, how far could you see in front of your truck?
As far as my eyes would let me see.
And how far could you see diagonally?
Diagonally, probably, again, as far as my eyes would let me see.
All right. Now, you get on the road. When you plow, is there a particular method that you use?
Yes.
Describe that.
I start in the middle of the road and work to the right, angling the plow to the right.
Are you familiar with the term ring row right?
Yes.
Could you explain that to the jury, please?
Or ring road to the right is the amount of snow that's coming off the plow, creating a row. We angle everything to the right so that it does not impede on traffic on the left.
Right. So if you had gone in the other direction, you'd be putting snow right in the opposite lane of travel, right?
Correct.
So you always go to the right.
Correct.
What part of the road, once you hit the roads, do you plow first? What part of the road?
I start at the yellow line and I work to the curb line.
Why do you plow the middle of the road first?
Again, I want to ring road to the right, and I want to be able to give a bigger swath of space for first responders.
And generally, after going up a street or a road that you plow, when do you come back down the same street?
Immediately after I'm done.
Now, you mentioned Route 11, your route that night. You mentioned that it takes you to Cedar Crest.
Correct.
Once you leave the DPW garage to go on your route, Route 11, how long does it take you to get to any part of Cedar Crest?
About 10 minutes.
May we display actually, it's Exhibit 49. Do we have access to Exhibit 49?
What is it? Is it,
It's just a map.
okay.
And if we can't put our hands on it quickly, I can just display it on the screen.
Is it in evidence?
It is.
You can put it
Okay,
on the
thank you,
screen.
Ron. If you put up Exhibit 49 and maybe zoom in so we just see, well, I think it is as zoomed in as it's going to go. Is that true, Mr. Wilk, to get okay. Maybe zoom in on the top part of the map, if you would. Perfect. All right. So are you able to see that map from where you are?
Yes, I can.
And by the way, do you wear corrective lenses?
Yes, I do.
What do you wear?
I wear glasses, and when it's inclement weather, I wear contacts.
So on the night in question, when you went out on your route that night, were you wearing glasses or contacts?
Contacts.
What are you wearing today?
Contacts.
You've testified in a prior proceeding regarding this matter last year, correct?
Yes.
What did you show up with that day?
Glasses.
And what's your difference? What is the difference in your ability to see the screen with your glasses or your contacts?
My contacts make things a little bit more brighter, allowing my eyes to see better
You have
with
more
the
difficulty
contacts.
seeing distances with your glasses?
Correct.
All right. Any problem seeing that screen here today?
None.
All right. What does that depict?
That depicts my route: Cedar Crest, Dew Lane, Spring Lane, and I'm not able to read the one underneath Spring Lane. Just
Certainly it's a portion of your route, correct?
yes,
All right. Now, you see where it says Cedar Crest, right?
yes,
And you see the red dot there?
yes.
Does that red dot refresh your memory or orient you, I should say, as to what road that red dot is on?
Yes,
And what road is that?
that would be Fairview.
All right. Now, when you hit Cedar Crest Road, are you in that area of Cedar Crest or are you in a different area of Cedar Crest when you first come upon Cedar Crest Road?
When I first come on, I'm coming in at the beginning of Cedar Crest, which is at Dedham Street in Cedar Crest.
Okay. And how long a road is Cedar Crest before you get to the area of Exhibit 49?
I would say that's about a mile and a half.
And how long does it take you to plow Cedar Crest before you get to this area on January 29th of 2022?
About 10 minutes.
All right. How much of that mile and a half or so stretch of road did you plow when you first encountered it?
I plowed the entire street.
If we could zoom out, please. All right. And when you're driving on Cedar Crest Road, are you driving toward that red, Fairview Road that you've identified?
Yep.
Coming in from the right portion of the map or the left portion of the map?
I'm coming from the right side of the map.
All right. And so you start about a mile and a half down the road to the right, which is off this map, correct?
Correct.
And you say it takes you about 10 minutes to get to the area of Fairview.
Yes.
So would Fairview be on your right or your left when you first encounter it?
On my left.
And when you hit Fairview Road that first time, what do you do?
I go all the way to the very end of Cedar Crest, turn
way?
around in a cul-de-sac, and then head back up towards Fairview.
Okay, so you're passing Fairview on your left,
Yes.
plowing further, and then turning around and plowing back.
Yes.
And when you came back to the intersection of Cedar Crest and Fairview, what did you do?
I take a right.
And how familiar were you with 34 Fairview Road on that day?
Very, very familiar.
Having delivered pizzas there for years?
And then having grown up in that neighborhood.
Were you friendly with the Alberts growing up?
Mostly with Chris, but, I was cordial with the boys.
All right. And when you entered Fairview Road from Cedar Crest for the first time on your route, would 34 Fairview be on your right or your left?
On my right.
And can you give the jury your best estimate of when or what time was it when you first encountered 34 Fairview Road on January 29th of 2022?
About 2:40, 2:45
That would be AM?
a.m.
And when you were passing 34 Fairview Road or encountering it at that point, what did you know about who lived there?
I knew the Alberts lived there, and I knew that Brian Albert was a police officer, first responders.
Now, aside from the lighting on your truck, were you aware of whether there were any street lights in the area of 34 Fairview?
Yes.
Can you describe those?
Sure, there's one before you get to 34 Fairview driveway, and there's one after.
Stop there. If anyone didn't get enough lucky today, you can watch the whole thing on our YouTube. This is a replay from earlier today. I have a feeling Turtle Boy may be playing this later tonight as well. I'm going to take some time tomorrow. Not sure when. Probably in the afternoon. I'm trying to think when. Probably mid-afternoon. Maybe early evening too. I'm not sure. I'm going to do a show where we just review a bunch of video from the last couple days because there's been a lot of video. So I just wanted to get another taste of Lucky. Just play it for everybody. Just how good he was today. Thank you, Lucky. Lucky makes me proud of Canton. I got to say. Lucky is the best part of Canton. People like Rita Lombardi, the Sweeneys, John Como and his brother George. I know Canton gets a lot of shit, but there's a lot of good people in Canton. And Lucky's one of them. So thank you, Lucky. Thank you for showing the good side of Canton. Stand-up guy. I'm gonna wrap it up tonight. Let's go watch LTL. I want to watch Jessica Machado. She was so good last night. Thank you, Jessica Machado, for coming on the show last night. She's on LTL Media right now. I want to watch my guy LTL Media. I want to say congratulations to Brian from LTL Media too. He's been doing phenomenal work. His numbers have been going through the roof. I haven't gotten to watch enough. I'm going to try to watch tonight. And I also saw, I think it's on Sunday, he's got Ted Daniel from Boston 25 on his show. Like that is, I'm just like, I wanted Ted Daniel. LTL got Ted Daniel first. Congrats, dude. It's well deserved. I can't wait to watch that. That's going to be amazing to see a guy I like. I like Ted Daniel. I think he's funny. I'm looking forward to seeing Ted Daniel on Brian LTL. I think it's on Sunday. That's going to be fun. And let's go watch LTL right now and Jessica Machado. Thank you so much, Megan, who just gave a super chat. She said, jumped on late. Sorry if this was covered. Nan, thoughts on Bev's second denial of Easter's motion? She was rude, dismissive, and gave no reasons. How can she do that? We did briefly touch on that. I know, it sucks. It's ridiculous. You know what I'm looking forward to, Megan? Is when Michael Easter comes on the show and he says how he feels about it. That's coming. That is after this. If especially if Karen Reed is found not guilty, you could expect Michael Easter on our show probably in the 2 weeks after that, sometime, and be very quickly. I'm in touch with him. He gave me no comment beyond the fact that he'd be interested in coming on after the trial's over. So we'll see. Hopefully we get to hear from Mr. Michael Easter, and he tells us how he feels about it, Megan. That's what I'm looking forward to. Let's manifest it. Let's manifest Karen being found innocent, not guilty in the next week or two. And then we have all these great guests on the show, including Michael Easter, maybe Lucky. We'll see. Have a great night, everyone. Thank you so much for the super chats. Thank you for all the support and love and the views and all the viewers and all the reshares and the likes. Make sure you like and subscribe. I can't believe I'm over 50,000 and we just keep going up. Thank you so much. That happened last night. I'm very happy about that. Let's go watch LTL. Thank you so much. Have a great night, everyone. I'll see you in the LTL media chat. Redirect. Let's do a raid on LTL right now.